The debate has raged a long time in the martial arts and the wrestling world. Who simply is the best? The martial arts people have their opinion. The wrestling people say, guess what? We've come through the college ranks, the high schools, the Olympics. We have the preparation and the training. There's only one way to find out. Put them all together. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Bontempo. Welcome to the Contenders and our show coming up straight ahead. By now, you still have time to get in on this extravaganza. I'm joined here by John Peretti, four-time international kickboxing champion and the man who made these matches tonight.
They may.
The best world-class athletes that we feel we have here, the 7 wrestlers here, to get in this type of format and see how they do against the other martial arts. And I think they'll do very, very well. You know, John mentioned submission. I think forget about it. It's not going to happen.
I guess you've heard the debate for years, too, between the different communities. You know, if you put them together, this would happen, this would happen. The martial artists say, hey, you know, we can wrestle and we can be as effective that way. From your standpoint, what are the edges that the wrestlers would have coming into here?
Well, I think, for one, that the tremendous amount of competitive experience they've had. These guys have wrestled probably 800-900 competitive matches by the time they get to this level. They're the best that our system has. Our system has 750,000 wrestlers. These guys are the best, so they're the top competitive athletes, and I think on their feet they'll be have a tremendous advantage over the martial arts athletes.
It's the wrestlers versus the martial arts. Submission? Maybe. Well, we've got some other opinions here, people who know a lot about it. We've got Larry Shakatano, the president of USA Wrestling, and also Kurt Angle, a 1996 Olympian, to give their viewpoint on this subject. Gentlemen?
Well, Kurt, we've got an incredible opportunity tonight, I think, to maybe answer that age-old question about who's tougher, the wrestlers or the martial arts. We've assembled a quality group on both sides, and I guess we're going to be able to see firsthand tonight who comes out on top.
It comes down to this, you know, it's going to be unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. We've got world-class athletes from every sport, every discipline coming together. This is something that needed to happen for a long time, and eventually it's arrived.
Well, exactly. You know, one thing I'm concerned about is that wrestling is such a high-intensity sport for just a short period of time. Our guys are familiar to wrestle 5-minute matches at a real high intensity. They're going to have to learn to pace themselves a little bit here with 5 periods and a 15-minute match.
The other disciplines, they're taught to relax, conserve their energy, and wrestlers want to utilize their energy as quickly as possible and do everything they possibly can. So you're right, it's going to be a real struggle for the wrestlers to slow their pace down, try to get things started strategically, and hopefully in the outcome later on in the match, things can prevail for them.
Right. Well, remember that the United States national team has won the World Championships in 1993, 1995, and again in 1996.
Great success.
And of course, you were part of those in 95 and 96. We've got the best wrestling team in the world, and we've got some of the best performers in the world here.
Those very same guys are going to be out in that ring, getting ready, going against the other world-class athletes. Like I said, unpredictability. That's what's going to happen tonight.
My opinion, however, is that the wrestlers are better athletes. They're better trained.
Well, you're biased.
I'm biased. They've wrestled 1,000 training matches, and I'll tell you tonight, I think the wrestlers are going to dominate.
You know what? I want to believe that, and I hope that happens, but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, there's some really good athletes out there. You got jiu-jitsu, sambo, judo, and they're world-class athletes, very much the same as the wrestlers. So you don't know what's going to happen. These wrestlers have never wrestled or competed against the other guys. So like I said, unpredictability.
Unpredictability, but they've trained
Excitement.
hard. Excitement. Yeah. I'm counting on the wrestlers being dominant tonight.
I will too.
Okay, Larry Shakatano, igniting those martial arts buyers, perhaps. Remember, you still have time to get in and purchase the Contenders coming straight ahead. John Peretti, you saw the comments made by Larry and Kurt, very big wrestling people. What do you think that the martial arts community and people from that side would respond?
Well, I think they respond that the wrestlers are purely ignorant at this point. I mean, they've They've worked very, very hard. They are the greatest athletes in the world. It's undoubted. But what we see here is that they work on looking at stuff, and they've never really tasted it. Okay, so confidence, as a friend once told me, is a very, very dangerous thing.
What about the training of the martial arts community as opposed to the wrestling? Some people say, the martial arts have the finite training because they can't knock out their people in training the way boxers can. Wrestlers can get pins all the time. Is there something hidden and subtle in the martial arts training, do you think, that might come out here and show itself?
Absolutely. What happens here is that the wrestlers, when they attack, when they tackle, when they do doubles and singles for takedowns, there's no consequence to what their actions are. None whatsoever. So the martial artist always has consequence. They can either get guillotined, they could get leg locked, they could get ankle locked. Things can happen that can cause real problems.
The Contenders coming at you straight ahead. Still time to get in on it. Jim Shear, the word ignorant used for the wrestling. And we've heard some pretty pro-wrestling comments thus far, and maybe not as much from the martial artist. Respond to ignorant.
Well, I heard that, and I have to say that the wrestlers competing in this competition are prepared. I think they've done their homework. They respect the martial artist's ability to get submission holds from almost any angle, and I think they're ready. I think they're prepared. And as was mentioned earlier, they're such superior athletes in takedowns and throws and really riding and positioning that I think that will override the martial artist's ability at submission holds.
I'm glad I'm sitting between Jim and John as we get ready for the Contenders, and of course still time for you to get in on that, because these guys may agree on a lot of things, but this week they have not agreed on anything regarding the martial arts versus the wrestling. It's really pretty much the perfect chauvinism from each area to come in. Each guy has their own idea. Now, in our featured attraction, we've got Kenny Monday coming over here, and he's coming in against Hume, John, and this is probably in some quarters a dream matchup.
For Matt Hume, I think it's a dream matchup. We look at it as Matt Hume being one of those people who are very, very underrated. He's so underrated that most people around here that I'll talk to don't even think he has a chance. Kenny Monday is an outstanding athlete and has proved himself many times, as Jim will tell you. But Matt has the ability to make people submit very quickly.
What is the surprise you think he'll bring in here now? Kenny Monday will come in with the aura, of course, with his Olympic background, speed, very popular, a well-spoken grappler coming into here. Is it strength with Matt Hume? Do you think it's just that he's been in pressure situations that people don't realize, perhaps?
I think that Matt has a resilience to most of the things that Kenny will try to do to make him submit. If Kenny goes for points, obviously he'll overpower him. I've had Jim Shear hanging around my neck, so I know how strong these guys really are.
Well, Jim, talk about Kenny Monday and the strength here. Now, he's coming in here against Hume, and of course you've wrestled with John getting ready for this competition here. You guys should be here on opposite ends of the spectrum. What is it that about Kenny Monday that brings to the table that he is so special that people would feel he can't be beat?
Well, first, Kenny's a tremendous competitor. NCAA champion in college, three-time Olympian, which is an incredible feat. Gold medalist, silver medalist, went through the Olympic Games with his elbow dislocated and still got a silver medal. I mean, he's a tremendously mentally tough competitor. That's first and foremost, but he's an unbelievably physically talented athlete. Strong, quick, long limbs, tremendous leverage, and he's skilled. He's a skilled takedown artist, great wrestler, and he's going to throw Matt all around. And hopefully, Matt's dream matchup won't turn into a nightmare.
Well, certainly, you've got the opposite sides of the spectrum. We're going to have that all night on the Contenders. It's my discipline versus your discipline. And, there are so many different forms of wrestling and martial arts throughout the world that each one of them likes to think that in a given situation they could change the rules a little bit and go in and beat the other guy at what he is special at. And that is what major competition is all about. That's what the Contenders is all about. I can beat you at your game. I can take you out of your game even if I have to. Well, we're standing by here. Shannon Williams is ready with Matt Hume, and let's talk a little bit about Hume and Monday. Shannon?
Matt Hume, how in the world are you going to beat Kenny Monday? He's the poster boy of the venue. He's a three-time Olympic wrestler. How are you going to beat him?
Just make him tap. It's pretty simple.
Just going to make him tap?
He's gonna. Yep. That's all it takes in this event is get a hold of a joint, get a hold of a neck, whatever, cut his air off.
And you're not
he's
worried
gonna
about
tap.
his wrestling skills?
No.
Not worried about it?
Not worried about it.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about your style? I understand your style is pancration?
Pancration, right. Pancration is from ancient Greece. It actually preceded wrestling in the Olympic Games, and it was a submission wrestling sport. the idea there. They also allowed striking, but they were great submission wrestlers. My style is AMC pancration, which is a specialized style that I've developed in pancration. And I've trained for a long time making people tap.
All right. Well, can you tell me a little bit about your training prior to this fight? What have you been working on? You've been doing some cross-training. Any extra training preparing for Kenny Monday?
No, the only thing I really did was just cut out the striking. You know, some people saw me in the last extreme fighting, in the last 2 extreme fightings, I won by striking. So this is a perfect venue for me to come in and show that pancration is versatile, and we can also grapple and make people tap.
Now, I understand you have some wrestling experience. Did you focus on the wrestling when you went into the gym to work out?
No.
No wrestling?
No. I'm going against a wrestler. So, you know, I know that putting my strengths against his strengths, we're just going to have a wrestling match out there, but that's not what this is about. This is about getting the tap.
And how do you feel tonight?
I feel good. I feel ready.
Feel good? Ready to go?
Ready, confident.
Okay. And I understand you spent some time in Japan. Can you tell us a little bit about that, your training that you did over there? I understand you did some fights over there.
Yeah, I've for probably the last 4 years, I've been going back and forth to Japan before I started competing in the extreme. And a lot of my students compete over there as well. And for a long time, they've had submission sports in Japan, which I've been involved in, a few different organizations over there.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking to us, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shannon. John, Matt talked about the absence of striking. Said, well, maybe I'll just take his ear off.
Yeah,
not quite the way you want to go, but there is a lot of aggression, a lot of hidden aggression, I think, in these martial artists.
Absolutely. And I think that Matt is very confident. He's a very religious man, and he believes that he can actually beat a 3-time Olympian. And I think he has the potential to do it also. Okay,
Jim, what do you think that match will hinge on? You heard the comments of Matt Hume. He's certainly not in awe or afraid of Kenny Monday and believes that the power could be to his advantage. What do you think Kenny Monday will see? How do you think it might compare with some of the pressure situations he's been at in his career, notably, say, the Olympics and, of course, college championships?
Well, I think the key for Kenny, with the great composure he's developed through those competitions, is to keep that composure in this format, is to use his wrestling skills, score points in that manner, but to be smart, keep his composure, not let aggression get the better of him, not let being overly aggressive hurt him and get him caught in a submission hold. And it's really going to hinge on that. If he can score his points clean, ride, maybe pass the guard, maybe get a submission through a headlock. But if Kenny keeps scoring points, stays out of a submission hold, he should dominate.
And you're going to see 5 3-minute rounds. You're going to see attempts at submission all the time. You're going to see points, all types of variables in this, in the Contenders coming straight ahead. Still time to call your cable operator, get in on it. A brand new, novel competition, something being done for the first time. And John, when you made these matches, you must have been salivating at some of the possibilities. You must have been salivating at the possibilities with these matchups, with all the types of styles that you were putting together.
I believe that it's the most comprehensive matches that I've ever made. They are the quintessential people in the martial arts versus the very, very top end of the wrestling community, as Jim will attest.
We've got some top names in this competition and around the competition. One of the men working with us tonight is the legendary Dan Gable. 15 straight national championships at Iowa, certainly a legend in the sport. And Dan with Kenny Monday right now, of course, Kenny in this competition, the poster child he was referred to. Let's take it to you now, Dan.
Kenny Monday, I'm getting ready to go to this fight here with this Contenders. You have a fine competitor in Matt Hume. Do you have any words of wisdom that you might offer the audience here before your match?
Well, I think, Dan, just look for the action. It's going to be a lot of action. I think it'll be a very contrasting in the styles. The wrestlers going against the martial artists, some of the guys that are trained in submission and trained in other arts. And so I think it'll be very interesting to see and watch the different styles try to implement their styles and put their styles in and to try to dominate the other style. And I think you'll see a test of wills between the styles.
You've had a little bit of experience with some of the ultimate fighting, and you used your wrestling knowledge, and then you got down and used a little bit of boxing in there. And we're not going to be doing any punching. I know your quickness is when you get somebody down, you can't hit them. They're going to be used to submit people, and they're going to try to get locks on you. So I'm not sure if you're going to try to make them submit or what, but it's hard to do when they don't get to punch somebody.
Well, I mean, that's the name of the game is submission. and that's what this Contenders is all about. And so, of course, we've been working in the gym in that area and trying to get to dominant positions to try to get him out of there. And of course, in wrestling, we have some positions that are pretty tight and pretty strong and can make a guy submit and make a guy quit. So the name of the game, I think, here is just to try to make the guy quit. And if you can't make him quit, then just take him down and just dominate him and win on points.
The rules on the feet seem to favor the wrestler, but at the same time, the length of the match, the 15 minutes, submission holds, are you going to be particularly careful in certain positions?
Absolutely. I think it's really important that you're patient in this style of competition, and you can't get out there and get wound up trying to get the guy out of there quick. So you just have to have a little patience and wait for the opportunity to come.
Well, Kenny, one wrestler to another. Let's get him, guy.
Thank you, Dan. Jim, you heard the comments of Matt Hume in his preparation. What do you think of Monday in his preparation as he goes against this new style?
I think Kenny's serious. He's well prepared, and I think Kenny will do very, very well. Kenny's, as I said, is a tremendous competitor, the best we've had in the United States. And John was right when he said earlier, this is the best fight card that's been put together of wrestling athletes. You've got 7 of our best wrestlers against 7 martial artists, and we'll see what happens.
You've got top names coming at you in just a few minutes. The Contenders will be launched and ready to go. Speaking of big names in the sport, John Peretti is standing by with one right now. John?
I'm proud to be here with Kevin Jackson. He's the light heavyweight ultimate fighting champion. He's an extreme fighting champion in the past. What brings you here?
Oh, just a great event. I mean, this is outstanding. You got grapplers going at it. I think it's overdue that we actually had a chance for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well as wrestlers as well as judo guys to showcase their skills.
So you don't miss the punching and the kicking?
No, I think it's going to be good for ground fighters. I think this is long overdue, and I think these wrestlers going against these martial artists is going to create a heck of an event.
And you have some very good friends here, don't you?
Yeah, I got Kenny Monday, Mike Van Arza, Townsend Saunders, Dennis Hall, Tom Erickson. A lot of my guys have been on tour with and been on the wrestling circuit with for a long time, and they've trained to submit these guys, and they've trained to do the best they can, and I think you're going to have an outstanding show.
Do you have any picks on this match?
I got to go with the wrestlers. I think the majority of them have been working on their skills as far as submission holds, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the other grapplers are going to handle the wrestler on their feet. I think once it goes to the ground, the wrestler's going to have to be prepared to look for his opportunity to get the guy out of there with some type of submission. And if I think from talking to the wrestlers, the majority of them have worked on the skills.
So you're the only one who has real experience. I mean, did they look to you to find out, what you did? No one's ever made you submit.
No, I think we've learned from each other. I think from watching films of Extreme as well as the UFC that we've learned different strategies as far as to be successful. And I think to be successful, especially in an event like this, you're going to have ground skills. And I think that's going to be the telling tale.
And your gold medal experience has helped you tremendously. I mean, that's what you work for.
Without a doubt, these guys are, I think, a little bit more seasoned as far as competition is involved. I mean, they've been at the top of their game in wrestling, the Olympic Games, the World Championships, and they've just seen the top level of competition.
Okay, well, we'll go back to Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, John, the Contenders straight ahead in a few minutes. You still have a little bit of time to get in on a very novel combination of the martial arts and the wrestling world, and this is just the first one to kick off. There should be many more after this. Well, we've talked about Monday and Hume, of course, the main event on the card, but there are other big-name people here, and Dan Gable has one right now. Dan?
Townsend, you have a match with a Brazilian, Andre Pantaneras, and these guys are known for their submission. They're known not for wrestling, not for their pinning and things like that. You got no strategy for this particular event?
Do I have a strategy? Well, I plan on submitting him, and I've been working on submission holds back in Phoenix, Arizona. I feel that it's just going to be a different caliber of athlete out there. With the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys are good at what they do, but I feel like I'm better at what I do.
You get caught in some situations where you feel uncomfortable. You're kind of going towards his style a little bit. What are you going to end up trying to change?
Well, I think that's where it's a matter of focus. I plan on just sticking with my game plan. I feel like I've competed long enough in my career to be able to do that. I mean, you don't make it to the Olympic Games and even medal without having a good type of strategy or being able to do that.
So you're going to use some wrestling, though, probably.
Well, that's what I know best. But I've learned a few submission holds, and I plan on trying to get those submission holds. If I don't get the submission holds, I'll go back to my wrestling basics.
You've been doing anything extra for this particular event in your training as compared to training for a wrestling event besides submission holds?
No, I've been sticking to my wrestling training methods, you know, what I do to cross-train and get ready for tough wrestling competitions. I've been pretty focused about this one and specializing on a few submission holds. I've tried to just focus on actually just, you know, a couple of them so I don't try to get overwhelmed with a lot of different things.
Who have you been training with? Anybody that can coach you or anybody that can help you out in this area?
Well, Kevin Jackson is there in Phoenix. I have Tim McClellan. He's trained, you know, people like Mark Kerr and you know, people like Mark Coleman coming to town and stuff. So I got some pretty good partners.
So you feel pretty comfortable going into this particular
I hope I'm not
match?
overconfident, you know. But I feel like the wrestling competitions that I've done in the past are a lot tougher.
Okay. Well, I guess the main thing is that you got to feel good about yourself, and you apparently do. And I know that from the other interviewers that the Brazilians feel pretty comfortable with what they're going to do. They're going to try to force their style. So I'd say good luck tonight. And,
Thank you.
From one wrestler to another.
All right.
And that was Townsend Saunders getting ready for his matchup. We've heard from some wrestlers, and there's a guy standing by here who's a very big name, very popular right now. He's had a very big campaign. Big year, Maurice Smith, and he's standing by now with John Peretti. John?
I am here with Maurice Smith, current Thai boxing champion, current Ultimate Fighting champion, current Extreme Fighting champion, and my idol. What do you have to say and why are you here?
Hi, how are you? And welcome aboard. I'm here to support my fighter friend, Frank Shamrock in Kosaka, in their fight against the wrestlers. And from what I understand, the wrestlers are really just knocking the submission guys. I think it's going to be a good fight tonight. I'm going to go for the submission guys because that's the guys that taught me how to fight. So I'm for the submission fighters.
And very effectively.
Very effectively. I beat a wrestler, didn't I? Well, yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to see this, help the sport grow in some way. I think it's a good format for wrestlers and submission fighters to not rely on striking, just pure skill. It's a harder fight than free fighting or no-holds-barred fighting. I think it's a good fight, but it's a bit harder because there's more skill involved.
And you've been grappling for 2 years now.
About 2 years, and I'm learning, but I'm not at this level yet. This is a different level for me. This takes more skill. I mean, like I said before, the reality fighting is, to me, a little bit easier, but the wrestling and the submission fighting, it's a bit more technique involved.
But I did see you on the mat the other day crushing people, did I not?
I'm learning, John. I'm learning.
Okay, thank you very much, Maurice. Thanks for being here.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, John, Maurice Smith, and you get an idea of the crossover that we have in this competition here tonight. You've had UFC champions, you've had extreme champions, we've had all types of martial arts champions in this competition tonight. And from the wrestling side, guys who have won NCAA titles, guys who have won World Cup championships, the Olympics, people who have been in pressure situations, and it's all bubbling over and coming together. If this is the first time you're tuning in to possibly see a program, remember there are tons of martial arts and wrestling disciplines all over the world, and the competition is constant. Mine is better than yours, and we have a competition now to bring it out. Speaking of special people we'd like to bring in, I have here Gary Delabate. Gary Delabate, the producer of The Howard Stern Show. You may have heard of that. And Gary is going to be coming by in just a little bit. I'm a little ahead of Gary Delabate. We'll bring him in a little bit. He's still being produced. So we're going to go to Kurt Angle first, and then we'll be back with Gary Delabate. Kurt?
And I'm Kurt Angle here with Dennis Hall, who has one of the premier matches tonight with the Contenders. Dennis, what have you been doing to prepare for your competition since you are a wrestler and you're not expecting the jiu-jitsu art that you've formerly been wrestling with the Greco-Roman?
I went out to L.A. to work out with the Raw team, and I worked out with Rico Cipriali, learned some of the basic submissions, and I feel I'm ready.
And are you in the best shape of your career right now, coming off of the World Championships?
I'm in real good shape, and hopefully you'll see that tonight.
And what are you going to do? What is your strategy tonight? Are you going to use all your wrestling skills, or are you going to use those submission locks that you've been working on? What's your strategy?
You want me to give that away? I'm going to use a little bit of both. Just I want to beat them down, get them tired right away, and, you know, just when something opens up, take it and put them away.
Okay, that's the viewpoint over there. Thank you. Now, Gary Delabate is here. Gary, if we finally have you, the producer of The Howard Stern Show in New York. And what brings you all the way out here?
I've been a big wrestling fan for a long time. I'm one of those guys who wrestled in junior high school and high school and then just followed it along, all those years. And I'm pretty psyched to meet Dan Gable. I came here to meet Dan Gable. I mean, that guy is a legend. He's one of the greatest of all time. So, I wanted to come and see some real good wrestling.
Do you ever hear any talk about this on the show, people calling and hearing about these type of competitions? Any feedback from the public about who they like or what they like and don't like?
Well, I just find that people are really into watching good wrestling. There's that other junk out there. Sometimes people get confused. When they see a guy like Dan Gable and a guy like Kurt Angle is involved, they know that this is going to be like championship, Olympic-style wrestling. This is, the top of the sport. And you don't get to see a lot of that anymore.
Now, and Gary, we've seen you in so many other different formats and venues here. This must be kind of like a little bit of a lift for you, something special to do away from your normal job.
Yeah, like I said, it's fun to watch good competition, to watch these guys are amazing competitors. We were out at the hotel today, and we're right along the river, and I saw this guy just doing wind sprints back and forth, back and forth. These guys take it really serious. They're great competitors. They're all in amazing shape, and they're going to be great matches.
And you won't be thrown in a suplex tonight. Gary, thank you so
very
much for
Thank you.
standing by. Gary Delabate from the Howard Stern Show in New York, all the way on the East Coast. Big attention on this event, all types of events like this. You've got a few minutes still ahead to get with the Contenders, the first of its kind. Martial artists, grapplers, the wrestlers, the mat, the jiu-jitsu, all these angles coming together. You don't have the combat, but the people who have been striking say that they are much more versatile than that. They don't need that to win. They'll be just as happy to take an ankle and turn it until it can't be turned anymore. There's still going to be combat and conflict in this. Well, we've got another interview. We've got people lined up. Shannon is standing by now.
Tattoo on my toe. Yeah, I bet it does be. Frank Shamrock. Your name is big, it's world-renowned, you're the 1996 King of Pancrase, but you're going up against an Olympic wrestler, Dan Henderson. He's an outstanding wrestler. He can throw you from anywhere. How are you going to win?
Well, I'm going to use my submission skills. I think I have an aspect here that the wrestlers don't have, and that's submission ability. They have submissions. They're based on balance and control. I can do a submission from any angle, and my specialty are arms and chokes. So I think he's got his work cut out for him.
But he's a wrestler. I mean, wrestling has proved itself with the martial arts. How have you prepared for this fight?
Well, I believe wrestling is a single-faceted sport. It's about control. I don't care about control. I'm going to break your leg, I'm going to break your arm wherever I can.
But what if he throws you around so much you can't even see straight to get him in that submission hold? Not worried about that?
No, I mean, it hurts, but you'll recover.
Yeah?
You'll be all right.
Feeling pretty good, confident for tonight?
I feel good. I've trained real hard for it. I'm in real good shape. I'm ready.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Lion's Den?
Well, Lion's Den is a very famous fighting school. We're out of Lodi, California. We have 9 or 10 champions that train underneath us, and I've had a privilege and an honor to train with them and to be able to help train them in the UFC and Extreme and everything.
Now, you're relatively new to reality fighting. 2-3 years you've been involved with this. What do you contribute to your success, being successful so early in your career?
Had a good teacher. My brother taught me well. I've trained overseas. I've fought in a lot of places, and I just love to train.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us, and good luck.
Thank you.
And that's our look at the Contenders. Still time to buy. Straight ahead, call your cable operator. Jim says the wrestlers, John says the martial artists. I'm Dave Bontempo. I'm glad everybody disagrees, and we'll see you out there in a few seconds. Welcome inside a noisy Sioux City Municipal Auditorium in Sioux City, Iowa. I'm Dave Fontempo along with John Peretti, Dan Gable, all excited now to bring you the Contenders, the melting pot of disciplines, martial arts and wrestling all coming together. A show that has been anticipated. We've got big names coming in here. And John Peretti, four-time international kickboxing champion and the matchmaker of this. What are some of the things we've got on store tonight?
I think we have the best martial artists versus the best wrestlers. You know, with Dan Gable here to tell you the one side, I'll tell you the other side, and we have different opinions.
Okay, we'll get to that martial arts side in a minute. Dan Gable, of course, over here, legendary in the world of wrestling, 15 consecutive national championships for his Iowa club, a man who knows wrestling through and through. And Dan, what do you think the wrestlers bring to this competition, and what are some of the subtleties we'll look for from them?
Well, I think we brought a lot of scoring opportunities, side standing. It's just that, you know, we don't do a lot of submission holds. We've been under rules and regulations. We don't have this tap-out stuff. So, you know, it's a long time to wrestle hard without getting in a bad position. But we do have conditioning, and we have a lot of movement from all different angles.
A lot of curiosity about this too, Dan, because the martial artists coming in here from their background, the wrestlers have the high school, the college, the Olympics. What about pressure situations? Who's at an advantage there?
Well, I think that's more from an individual point of view. You know, it's just kind of like how you compete. I don't really think, you know, the wrestlers are lacking from being in big situations. But, you know, I don't know that much about the background of the martial arts people. But, you know, they're kind of a group that, you know, they're disciplined a different way. And because of that fact, they got their own little way of getting ready. And I'm sure that they're both mentally preparing for what's going to be a good battle.
Got several matches straight ahead. All of them promise to be intriguing. Now, John, we look at the martial artists. They say, well, you know what? The martial artists can't strike. And they say, so what?
Exactly, because the submission. Submission is the key. I think that Dan's going to learn that word tonight, submission.
Okay, we are straight ahead. We're ready for our first match, and let's take a look at it now. And we've got our first entrance into the competition here. We're going to have Tom Erickson and Tsuyoshi Kosaka, and that is Kosaka making his entry in there. Let's take a closer look at him.
テイクダウンの技術がしっかりしている選手だと思います。いや、特にないね。ただ普段からどっちかっていうとレスリング志向の自分の選手なので、だから特にそういうものは感じない。スパーリングだね、やっぱりね。スパーリングを中心にして、あとそれプラスコンディショニングとして、食生活は。まあ、特にその気をつけてるところはないけれども、なんていうの、使ったカロリーの分だけは取るようにはしている。楽しみ。釣り。
What kind of fishing? どういうフィッシングですか？
バスフィッシング。
Bass fishing. Do you cook them or you just catch them?
No.
食べる。釣る。
No. 釣り上げるまで段階を楽しんで。
Do you have a girlfriend or somebody that you see?
Yes.
Is she here with you?
ここに今来られてますか？
No.
Why not?
なぜですか？
Far away. いい試合をしましょう。
Kosaka, 1995 Tournament of J champion. That's the man he's going up against. Tom Erickson, World Cup gold medalist and tremendous force, 1997 U.S. Nationals champion, 4th in the world. 1996 Pan Am champ. Let's take a closer look at Tom Erickson.
You know, I'm 33 years old. I've wrestled about 20 years of my life, so well over 2/3 of my life I've spent wrestling and trying to perfect wrestling skills. Finding big people to train with is hard to do. It's not very easy to find people my size to train with. I aspired to wrestle in the Olympics in the year 2000. I just moved into a new home, and I've got a huge challenge in my yard. It really doesn't have one, a bunch of ragweeds and things like that it's going to be fun, you know, spending some time working at my home, little hobby things, building a little shop in my garage. I'm an assistant coach at Purdue. I enjoy being here is to start a tradition, to be able to say that, you know, we have world-class wrestlers coming out of Purdue University. There's freestyle and Greco-Roman. Greco-Roman is mostly upper body, above the waist wrestling, and freestyle is pretty much all out. That's why I think what makes this event to me appealing, because of the chance to match the martial arts, you know, freestyle wrestling, to jiu-jitsu, to karate, to pancrase, you know, and it's going to be exciting to see which martial art comes on top and the difference in matchups. He's going to have more skill in the submissions probably than I do. I believe I'm going to have more skill in the wrestling aspect and maybe the takedowns, hopefully. But it's the transition between the takedown and the ground fighting, the conflict in the two styles. It's going to be exciting to see how he's going to make his transitions into his offensive techniques to score, and how I'm going to use my offensive, you know, techniques to score and submit him. You know, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Tom Erickson is ready.
I would like to introduce our referee for this evening from Melbourne, Australia. He is the first of only 4 black belts under grappling master Gene LaBelle, currently training under Higan Machado of the Machado brothers. Our referee for tonight, John Donahue. Fighting out of the red corner, weighing in tonight at 228 pounds, standing 6 feet tall, from Tokyo, Japan. He is the 1996 Tournament of J champion, representing Rings Organization out of Japan, Tsuyoshi Kosaka. Fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in tonight at 283 1/2 pounds, standing 6 feet 4 inches tall, from West Lafayette, Indiana. He is the 1997 U.S. Nationals champion and the 1996 Pan American Championships champion, representing the Raw team, Tom Erickson.
Erickson and Kosaka ready to square off. Erickson at 286 pounds, Kosaka 220. And that is the biggest edge in the competition. Erickson a bull. And points can be scored, but submission is the ultimate form of victory. We'll get to the points as we get a chance. And Erickson immediately getting Kosaka down. Kosaka looking for guard. Erickson in control right away. Got partial guard there by Kosaka around one leg.
There's an over arm bar from the guard. Not a smart idea because it's hard to finish in the position. Here comes an arm lock. And he's squashing it. Boy, and I'll tell you, he can squash it, huh, Dan?
Yes, I feel that, actually there was no takedown there. No, that was no takedown, so nobody really scored any points there, but how the scoring system goes right now. But, we've, he's definitely in, his wrestling control advantage. But, I think the other guy, he feels comfortable where he's at. So I don't think there's anything really going on right there.
Yeah, I don't know if the word is comfortable. I was under him the other day, and I can't describe it that way. But you see the way he's pushing away with the overlapped legs. trying to keep Tom back. Well, that's very, very difficult to hold a 283-pounder of such skill back.
Erickson with some good speed for a big man as well. We see some good agility, and he's using that leverage right now. Notice how he's leaning forward, pressing on the legs, and getting the most of his weight here, trying to bridge up.
You'll notice the figure 4 leg lock holding him back. He's having a real tough time getting those legs off of his left leg.
And Kosaka being held in here right now by his legs. Erickson talked on the interview piece about the submission. He's not as big on that, he feels, and he would want to work more on it. He's in a strategic situation here. Now he could use the submission hold.
Well, not yet, but very close to it.
As far as the knowledge of it is concerned, he's creeping forward now, trying to take advantage and pretty much cut the body space in half that he would operate here against Kosaka.
I think from my point of view, wrestling point of view, I wouldn't want to be right there where he's at. I'd get out of that. Guard position. He's having a hard time there. I'm not sure who's working harder either. I think Erickson might be working a little harder.
He just got a point, Dan. He beat the guard. Just as you said it, and his arm is in danger again if this leg comes over his face. See him pull the arm out the other side?
So Kosaka trying to make some thunder happen from the bottom, and Erickson controlling it from the top. Got a nice point for getting past the guard. Points are awarded for things like getting past the guard, throws, takedowns, sweeps, reversals, and a go-behind, which is when you get behind the back of an opponent. The matches are 5 3-minute rounds. We're coming to the end of the first one, Erickson and Kosaka.
You notice, Dave, that he's almost reclaimed guard completely again.
Round 1 comes to an end. And how the scoring is, as we mentioned, the judges at ringside will decide that it was either a draw, a 1-point advantage for one component, or a 2-point edge for a fighter. All the judges' totals are added up, and then at the end you'll have a winner. They're tallied up. This is how round 1 looked.
You notice that the guard is open here, and Erickson just passes it around the corner, beating this left leg.
Now, if both legs are draped around an opponent, that's the guard. He was able to get past that.
The leg over, pushed him away, and he was trying to get this arm right here, but he pulled out, and Erickson was smart enough to release that, although he lost position.
Kosaka had a good shot at the end of the round to make some things happen.
I wasn't real impressed with Erickson that round, just from the standpoint that he wasted a lot of time on the mat there.
Well, now, based on the competition, the wrestlers get a lot of points with the things we mentioned, the throws, the takedowns. What doesn't score is control.
Now, he just tried to get an ankle on him, and Tom crushed him. It's the best way I can say it.
Well, he actually went for a trip, but he was like hitting a stone wall there.
Now, you're seeing that Erickson is operating from the top half of the body now on Kosaka. He's moved his legs up more, and he's basically able, if he can do this, to keep Kosaka's legs out of play. That's what he's trying to do here.
You know, Kosaka's no dummy. He sits there and he plays into a game, but he has to protect his neck, and that's where I'm seeing his weakness. He's going behind, and of course, Tom, was that called a whizzer
that's
again?
Called a whizzer, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, right there in that position, could Tom actually take his hands and try to choke?
No.
Okay, you cannot choke from the hands.
Well, it's very difficult because you can put yourself in an armbar peril.
Okay.
And does Erickson want to try to get his legs around the legs of Kosaka here to do his best damage? They're blocking him off. He needs to get a little closer.
I really like Kosaka's open guard and the ability for him to try to go underneath to get a knee on this tree trunk.
We talked about major difference in the styles, and John, the martial artists are content to be on the mat and try to operate from their feet and try offensive positions and attempt submissions from there.
Right, and they like to go underneath with these big guys. And you see that Tom just does not want to let him go underneath.
Now, Erickson, if you're watching wrestling, you've been a big fan of wrestling, this would be riding time probably in normal wrestling matches where he'd have control, but no points are awarded for this, so he needs techniques, he needs some control here, and Kosaka very patient despite being on the bottom.
Actually, it'd be more than riding time. It's near fall situation.
Riding time near fall, which is just about a pin in wrestling.
Yeah, he's probably is pinned, but only 1,000.
Now he gets around. He gets over the leg now, and Erickson has a chance.
Still got one leg caught, Dave, and that's been Kosaka's. We see tries to get an instep armbar on him. He's done that twice now. And I think it's maybe the strength of Erickson or the slipperiness, as Dan mentioned before, is just too much of an adversary.
Kosaka's legs an annoyance at this point to Erickson, who has had the territorial control. However, Kosaka will not let him get around both legs and hone in just on the top half of his body. Dave Bontempo along with John Peretti and Dan Gable. Glad you're with us for the Contenders. First of its kind.
Well, I tell you, so far in this match, I've just felt that the wrestlers are getting, their control and their advantage position, but, they're certainly not in a position to even come close to submission. So, it looks like long matches.
I'd say that's 2 draw rounds. What do you think?
Depends what you gave Erickson for the getting around the guard at the end of the
I don't know if you gave him a point that first one or not. I don't see I didn't see any domination. I didn't see any takedowns in that match, in that particular round. The first one, it wasn't really a takedown, but it was maybe fleeing the guard and scoring to the side.
John, at what point, as you take a look at Erickson, does Kosaka try to be aggressive and maybe get off of the ground here and try something else, or is he just going to try and win it from his back?
I think he's going to go underneath. He's made 2 attempts so far to go underneath, and I think that he has the ability to really move and go underneath. But again, I've never seen anyone as fast as Tom Erickson. That big.
Tom Erickson, 1997 U.S. Nationals Championship, 4th in the world, 1996 Pan Am champion, 1992 World Cup champion, tremendous big man. Many people say he could have played football. The agility, the sweeps.
I got the signal from the judges over there that it was 2 draws.
As you guys suspect.
Under. See him trying to go under?
I wouldn't drop down on him.
So now here we go with Erickson trying to assume control on top. He's had that territorial advantage, but Kosaka has been cagey from the bottom.
Dangerous. Very dangerous.
So the guard attempt there by Kosaka around the neck of Erickson.
Just smashed him.
Erickson needs a weapon right here in this position, and it's not there yet.
Hey, Dan, what does Erickson's gas look like? I mean, how's he handling this?
Well, I don't think he's, don't think he's over like losing a lot of gas in this position. I think he's wasting a little time there, and as far as, like he said, he's not getting takedowns. I think his gas is holding up. It's not that much. He's fighting mostly just to keep out of positions. He's probably working harder than the Japanese, so Kosaka. So, I'd say that he's probably expending more energy.
These are long matches for the wrestlers. Kenny Monday, for example, has never been more than 9 minutes in a match, and he has to go 15 minutes here and pace himself.
Yeah, this is smart tactics, I believe, by Japanese.
And I think we'll see some wrestlers at times, Dan, buying a little bit of time when they can. So basically, poising to strike, looking for their best opportunity. Kosaka attempting the guard around the neck did not work. He's trying a few more things, it looks like, John, here in this round.
Yeah, instep, leg over arm bars. That's a very strange thing. Tom's actually going back into the guard voluntarily.
I don't know if he is or not.
Okay.
I just don't know
You
if he
guys
is.
can't agree at all, can you? It's
No,
been like this all week.
I really think that Kosaki is really doing a good job of keeping him from getting the outside, and he's causing him to get back over there.
That's 3 attempts at arm bars that have missed.
Kosaki has outlined his strategy here against the bigger man. Not intimidated at all. Trying to buy some space by pushing off with the arm to set up something with his legs.
Yeah, I just don't understand Tom right now trying to stay in there like there. I just don't understand his strategy.
You think he should stand up?
I think he should get back up but I think Kosaka's doing a good job of throwing himself in the bottom. He's using defensive tactics, but it's really kind of working.
Well, John, a point you made, I can see that. I think Erickson needs to be higher up in the body instead of slipping back voluntarily into the guard position, which he did.
He's being held off by arms. You'd think Kosaka was exhausted by those arms now. I mean, doing push-ups with a 280-pound torso on top of him.
Well, he's done push-ups for 3 rounds. The third one comes to a close.
And he's hooked the arm, and I don't know, he's not going to get anything on it now. Oh, Kosaka's exhausted.
It's not only 3 rounds, it's 3 exhaustive rounds. And again, we'll remind you that the judges will score the either even rounds, 1 point to a winner, or 2 points if the win is by domination. They add up their points after the 5 rounds, and then for each judge, the victory is determined, and that, the 3 judges combined, equal the winner. And you add up their scores. We'll go to replay from the 3rd round. Erickson on top, and Kosaka very happy to be in the bottom, and this was the early part of it.
Notice here that the foot is always in, the foot is always out, meaning that he tries for the armbar, he'll throw it across. When he can't get it because Tom flushes him and just crushes him against the fence, he goes back to a real defensive position.
I don't see a clear-cut takedown by Erickson in any of the matches yet, except for maybe when he passed the guard. But, you know, that wasn't really a takedown. It was just coming off kind of a position. So that round really was one that I'm not sure what happened there.
Me neither.
Pretty much.
I wonder what the judges did.
If Erickson did not get the win after passing guard in round 1, the judges are very picky in what they want. It will have to be very obvious for points here as we start the 4th.
Kosaka is really using his guard position.
Yes, he is.
He just knows that he can't go. He's forcing the takedown to go neutral. Well, and so he's doing really good tactics, I feel.
If Kosaka can get into guard, he basically he's dealing with half of Erickson instead of the whole 286, and it becomes something where he can focus in on a specific body part. Here's a guy that's showing a lot of poise from the bottom.
But because Kosaka is using defensive tactics, I would have to say if this whole 5 rounds goes like this, you got to consider defensive tactics, you know, that, you know, really I don't think are that good.
And I think this illustrates exactly the difference between what this match is, the Contenders, and a normal wrestling match. Normal wrestling match, you've given Erickson tons of points right now for aggression, for riding time, for near falls. And in this competition, Kosaka can wait back and try for the submission and go after it.
You know, and I don't think that, you know, Erickson's going to, you know, win by points, but he may win by aggression.
And I think that's the beauty of it, John, is that each discipline gives up something. The martial artists don't have the strikers. The wrestling know that they have to do something a little more than just ride their opponents.
To be honest with you, I see Erickson not being able to pass the guard, and that's the extent of his aggression. And Kosaka has tried 3 or 4 leg over arm bars. He's tried to go under 3 or 4 times. He's the one who's doing things here. Dan, what do you think?
Well, I think he's doing things from the mat. You know, that's where he wants to be. You know, realistically, when he's shooting, is he realistically thinking he's going to take Erickson down? You really think so?
No, he's trying to get a leg. He's trying to go under and get a leg.
Yeah, I know, but...
Not to take him down, to get a submission on the knee.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
If you're at home thinking that John and Dan don't necessarily agree, that's been the theme throughout this entire competition, sending up the wrestlers and the martial artists as we come to the end of round 4 in what has been more or less a provocative chess match at this point between Tom Erickson and Kosaka. And Kosaka deserves some credit for neutralizing such a big man.
I really thought I'd see some throws in this one, but you know, the key thing that we haven't talked about also, instead of just going underneath him, he's also bouncing away from him on his feet. He's staying away, and then when Erickson's coming after him, that's when he's going under.
Dan,
he's not locking up.
Are you a little surprised Erickson has not adjusted tactically?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am a little surprised. I just don't. I don't know if the corner people over there are telling him that he's dominating because he's in this position or what, but definitely by the rules, he's not dominating like I'd like to see him dominate from the feet.
End of round 4, Kosaka, the guard. Erickson applying pressure. They'll go to a 5th.
Again, I'm sorry to say, if people disagree, but I give that round to Kosaka because he is the one trying to initiate, and Tom Erickson cannot get past the guard. I mean, he hasn't accomplished a thing there.
Well, you can say that, but, I disagree just because I think Kosaka, that's his only chance of winning, and he's using smart tactics. But, he's throwing himself to me underneath. He's not so far he hasn't even showed me, you know, he's a real good lock. You know, but I am disappointed that, you know, that Tom is trying to, you know that he's winning the match. I don't know if he knows if he's winning the match.
Well, the people who will decide, Kurt Angle, 1996 Olympic gold medalist, one of the judges. Also Russ Hellickson, head wrestling coach at Ohio State University for the past 10 years. And Gene Buddha LaBelle, Mr. Wrestling for over 40 years. And John, we saw him display some of his 26,000 holds last night, and he just loves to have his congregation on hand to show his moves.
That's true.
Looked up to as a god in the community. Fifth round. Here we go.
I think Erickson's going to have to score a good takedown here or throw to. There we go. No, he didn't pass the guard.
Did not get it.
He did try though, Dan. I think he heard you about going for the takedown.
Yeah, he's gonna. You know, he didn't quite pass the guard again.
And remember, as you watch, as a takedown is accomplished, if the guy in the bottom accomplishes the guard, which means he wraps his legs around the guy who threw him down, nothing is accomplished. There are no points.
Ankle, ankle, ankle.
Kosaka in a good spot here.
Beautiful.
He goes for an ankle lock.
He's got it. He's got it.
He's got an ankle and a knee.
Instep crank, and all he has to do is lean back. Now, if Tom can get through it, he's okay. He's arching really hard on it. That's a tremendous instep crank.
Kosaka
with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go.
In a big offensive position from the bottom. Erickson leaning to the side. Kosaka able to turn and crank.
Uh-oh, pain. A lot of pain here. The big man moves.
Erickson fights through it.
Almost kicked him.
Erickson showing his mettle right now.
I can't believe his knee's that flexible.
Well, and the instep too.
He doesn't seem to appear in pain. Oh. I don't know whether Osaka's waiting or what.
Oh, he's not waiting, but he's getting closer and closer, which makes it less and less effective. Tom's doing the right thing, but I think he's going to turn it again. He let go of it.
Erickson has smothered the ankle lock to this point.
I think he came out of it.
He escaped.
He's out of it. I can't believe he come out of that. That is unreal, because that's their holds.
That's a powerhouse.
That's
of a
unbelievable.
Man.
Well, when you take the top martial artists and the wrestlers, they're also able to negate some of the best moves of the other, and we see it right there. We see Kosaka with the ankle lock and Erickson smothering it and then turning it away.
That was his first major mistake, except not being real tactful on his feet. But the thing about him is I don't know if he got hurt in that. You know, he could have twisted a knee there, but I guess it doesn't really matter because he didn't submit.
Well, there's a minute left, so we'll see where Kosaka goes from here. I know he thinks he's probably losing this match. He's going for another leg, by the way. That's why he's turning so far.
Why are you saying that, losing his match, when you've been talking about him winning the match?
Well, not everyone agrees with me, including you.
Well, the only thing is, you know, we got two judges that are wrestlers. I'm sure that, you know, that does influence the thing. But at the same time, being a wrestler, knowing the rules, if I was Erickson, I would probably try to get a clean-cut score here.
You would back him off. Right?
I would, back him off and get a takedown or pass the guard. But I don't know if he can.
Now, Kosaka with some deceiving strength despite yielding so many pounds. And he is grimacing. He is trying to make something go here.
Look how strong Tom Erickson's neck is.
And this has been a grueling match, and I don't think either guy would be too disappointed if they scored a draw. Let's see what happens. Late now, we see a turnaround. Is Erickson looking for the last takedown?
See, that's
Kosaka was able to get out.
Time is up.
That's it.
Well, the basis of this competition is an argument, and I think you've got an argument here over who won.
Well, you know, I think John over here, I think you gave him the point, the first point of the match, and then you took it away.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Erickson was given the point at the end of the first round, but then we were told that the judges had scored it even. So let's see how they look at it.
Well, it had to be a 0-0.
So you're saying that we might have a draw here?
I'm saying we might have a draw, but I'm not so sure that.
Here's Kosaka's big moment. He had the chance, and then Erickson was able to get out of it.
Did that count for anything?
Here.
Did that count for anything? Did that count for anything?
No, it was a non-submission.
Okay, so there's no points there.
True.
So I think that Erickson won by a point.
By 1 point.
Yeah, I think
so.
That's
You didn't give Kosaka that last round for aggression and the ability to attack.
I didn't see aggression at all because I thought he used that as a tactic. That was my opinion. But hey, I don't know. We'll see.
We agree to disagree.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner by judge's decision, Tom Erickson.
Erickson takes it, and his overall aggression, perhaps feeding into that as well, or the fact that he was on the top. And Erickson getting the nod here over a gutsy Kosaka, who had him in some trouble in round 5. And Jim Shear, executive director of USA Wrestling, is standing by with Tom Erickson. Shear, of course, a great wrestler himself during his time. Let's go to him now. Jim?
Tom, congratulations on a tough win. It appeared that he was pretty close to an ankle lock in the 5th period there. Did you feel you were in danger?
Close. He had the ankle lock. I'm just, I'm lucky I'm a horse, I mean, my size paid off there. A lot of guys his size get caught in there. I mean, I got caught, in a bad position. He got desperate. I thought I controlled the whole fight until then, and he started doing some desperate things. I gave up a desperate situation, which, that's a lack of concentration on my part.
Yeah, it's a new fighter you've never fought before in a new style. Did it go quite what you expected?
No. I mean, I wanted to dominate a little bit more. I didn't. I sat back a little bit. I'm sorry I disappointed the fans. I wanted to go out and be more explosive on him. Use more of my techniques instead of countering a little bit. Got on my game plan a little bit. I should have been more aggressive, start passing the guard, but I think I got in there and started getting a little passive.
It seemed like you had a difficulty passing the guard, getting to your headlock. Was his tactics a little bit different than what you expected?
No, I mean, the Japanese are, who fight in the rings are, infamous for leg locks, ankle locks and stuff. That's what he caught me in. He's looking to do that the whole fight. I was just real aware of that. I didn't want to get too carried away. He's so much smaller than I am. I didn't want to have to step over him, trying to slide it, step over, let him slip off the back.
Well, congratulations on a great win.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So Tom Erickson able to put that one away, and we're up next with Frank Shamrock and Dan Henderson. Very close first one. Frank Shamrock, 1996 King of Pancrase in Japan. He trained Maurice Smith, among others, and from the Lion's Den in Northern California. You see the beginning of the entrance of Frank Shamrock and his credentials, 5'10", 191, 25 years old. The game face of Frank Shamrock on his way into competition. Let's take a closer look at Frank Shamrock.
Let's go. Yeah.
My game is submissions. I do the joint locks, the chokes, all that other stuff. I've been doing it for about 3 years, fighting mostly overseas because we're popular over there. Just now catching on in popularity here. I train every day, about 4 or 5 hours. I'm going to work more with some wrestlers, work more on my submission techniques as opposed to the free fighting, no holds barred. I'm going to work more on surviving the throws and whatnot that the Greco-Roman does. But other than that, it's training as usual. I love wrestling. I love the contact of it. I love the sport. I love to be thrown. I think submission wrestling is totally different than wrestling. I think these wrestlers got a big awakening coming. I like it. I mean, it's geared more towards the wrestler. All the rules are for the wrestler. So it's a matter of wrestlers wrestling and submission people trying to put them under. I definitely want to be a positive role model. I want kids to see what I do as something that maybe they want to do, or something that will make them proud, make them more confident. I have an 8-year-old son from a previous marriage. I have a girlfriend right now, and I don't give him much time, unfortunately, because all I do is train, all I do is fight. It's a game to me, just a really hard game. You play by the rules of the game. If you're not going to play by the rules, don't play. Ken got me started, Ken trained me, and then when I got to a point where I could take care of myself and I could take care of my training, he pretty much let me go out on my own and discover how it was. I walk my dogs, I lift rocks, climb trees, train, I don't do anything besides fighting.
Frank Shamrock driving into your screen. Quite a look at him. And he'll go up against Dan Henderson, 1996 Olympian, 1992 Olympian, second in the 1996 World Cup. Let's take a closer look at this exciting wrestler, Dan Henderson.
I've been wrestling since I was 5 years old. Just grew up wrestling and doing all sorts of sports, and I was really good at wrestling, so I just stuck with it and just ended up making a couple Olympic teams because of it. Got real involved in my own wrestling, so I wasn't able to coach for the last 2 or 3 years. But I really enjoy it. It's good to work with kids. And
Are your students excited to have someone who's gone to the Olympics?
Yeah, I would think so. You know, a direction for them to set a goal in, you know, maybe something that I've done. So if I was them, I would be kind of excited. I get to see a lot of the world, but a lot of times on some of our trips, I don't see anything but the inside of our hotel room and the gyms. I can't stand that phony wrestling. You know, it just, I don't know, it's kind of degrading for me to see that, you know, just the fake wrestling, and they're actually getting paid a lot more than we're getting paid, and we're doing the real thing, and not really getting too much recognition for it. They do what they do. They're in the entertainment business. You know, I think they should call it something different, you know, entertainment wrestling or fake wrestling or something. You know, but a lot of people always come up to me and, you know, ask me if I know Hulk Hogan or some other professional wrestlers, and you know, I just kind of laugh.
Do you know who you're fighting?
Yeah, Frank Shamrock. I've heard, you know, some pretty good things about him, and hopefully, you know, it'll at least be a good show, a good fight.
Dan Henderson looks for some recognition tonight. He's 5'10", 187, 27 years old. Frank Shamrock, 5'10", 191, and 25 years old.
He is the 1996 King of Pancrase, representing the Lions Den Academy in Northern California, Frank Shamrock. In the blue corner, weighing in tonight at 199 pounds, standing 5 feet 10 inches tall, from Huntington Beach, California. He was a member of the 1992 and 1996 Olympic teams and is the 1997 U.S. National Champion. Representing the Raw team, Dan Henderson.
Dan Henderson and Frank Shamrock up and ready to go. Remember, 5 3-minute rounds. Shamrock talked about the submission angle, and Henderson considered an explosive, relentless wrestler.
Wow, Dan is strong.
Henderson's real powerful, but you know, Shamrock doesn't look like a little kid out there, and he's definitely going to use some of those tactics we're not used to. The legs coming in first. He tried that right away.
He's a leg-locking fool.
Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be hard to stay out 15 minutes. Good thing there's them breaks.
And he's going for one right now, and that's a knee lock. Dan's doing a good job.
I don't know about that.
Quick try by
That
Shamrock
is a bad
here.
position. That is a bad position for
Shamrock
wrestlers.
goes for it right
wrestlers.
away.
Knee lock, right to a knee lock.
I'll tell you what, we're not, the wrestler is not staying in good position.
Heel hook. He's switched to 3 different things already. Here's a heel hook right here.
Shamrock trying to apply the pressure.
Yeah, if he gets out of this, he better...
It's hard.
That's it. He will not get out.
It's over.
Submission, the name of the game. Well, we've already seen 2 different type of matches here. One that went all the way, and it was a decision in which ankle locks were attempted at the end of the bout and were not successful. And here you see the explosive power of the jiu-jitsu, the leg locks, the ankle locks. You see Maurice Smith over there with Frank Shamrock. They've trained together, and quite a look, the opposites so far in these two matches.
Yeah, I tell you, I told you cannot get your legs caught up in there. And, he definitely, he got right into that rolling around situation. So, from a wrestler's point of view.
Frank Shamrock said the rules favor the wrestlers. You have to get them to submit.
See, he goes under. Now he's working on a knee right in there. As he turns around, he changes it. You'll see he changes it as he pushes the leg away. Oh, sorry.
And just that quickly, Frank Shamrock able to beat Dan Henderson. And you can do all the training, but the technique and the lock is everything. And so this time it goes to the martial artist. Frank Shamrock is standing by now with Jim Shear.
Frank, congratulations on a very impressive win. You told me yesterday this is your game. It appears you were right.
Yeah, submission wrestling is definitely a game, especially the Lions Den. It's our mainstay. It's what we do. I love wrestling, but it ain't enough. Just ain't enough. Henderson was an awesome competitor. I could feel his power. He's a strong wrestler. My hat goes off to him.
Yeah, your tactics, I mean, were definitely very, very superior in this format. Was it similar to what you had expected going in?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I felt his wrestling balance. I knew he was Greco. I knew I could probably get an opening for his legs. I was just hoping to go for it. I'd like to thank a few people for getting me here. One is my brother Ken, and my father, and my girlfriend, and Mo, and the boys at the Lions Den. They all trained me hard for this, and I hope I can return the favor.
Congratulations. It was a great win for the Lions Den.
Thanks.
Very, very impressive.
Thank you.
So that's Frank Shamrock's view of his 56-second triumph over Dan Henderson. We heard from him, tremendous effort from Frank Shamrock. Able to get the lock up, and Shannon Williams is standing by now with Dan Henderson.
Dan Henderson, you're a tremendous wrestler. USA has been watching you for several years now, competing on the Olympic scene. What happened out there tonight?
Well, I just got caught in the ankle lock. I've been working on staying out of those, but that was my Achilles tendon. That ankle too, the other one was fine. I messed my ankle up about a month ago.
And how did you mess that ankle up a month ago? Were you training for this event when you heard it?
No, I was training for the World Championships for wrestling. 1 week before the Worlds, I screwed it up real bad.
Any plans for the future? Future training plans?
No, just keep doing what I'm doing.
Working on some more submission holds? You fought a tremendous fighter out there.
Yeah, he's tough. He had a nice ankle lock, and you know, that's the only thing I was worried about. You know, a month ago when I heard it, I was already supposed to be in this, and that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Maybe not being able to do it, but you know, that's no excuse. I got caught in the ankle bar.
Yeah.
So.
Tough luck. Well, better luck to you. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks.
So the victory by Frank Shamrock over Dan Henderson in just 56 seconds after we had seen the first bout go all the way, decided a very close decision. So in just 2 matches here, you have seen the difference and basically how these components come together. In that one, the martial art is dominating, and in the first one, the wrestler Erickson coming out on top. We're ready for our 3rd match of the evening now. The Townsend Saunders and Andre Pederneiras. So, how are these going to come together? This is Andre Pederneiras. He'll be making his entrance out there now. 5'7", 159, 30 years of age. Let's take a closer look at Andre Pederneiras.
Look good, huh?
Eu vou lutar com o lutador de wrestling Townsend Saunders. Ele é vice-campeão olímpico de 96. Não, é uma luta normal como outra qualquer. E é um evento diferente porque tem regras diferentes. Mas para mim é uma luta como outra qualquer. Aprendi jiu-jitsu no Rio, na academia Carson Gracie. O jiu-jitsu é uma coisa só, inventada pelos Gracie há muito tempo atrás. Eu sou solteiro e normalmente eu estou sempre envolvido com a academia, praticamente dou aula o dia inteiro. E normalmente nos finais de semana sempre tem competição que eu tenho que acompanhar, ou crianças ou adultos lutando. Quando isso não acontece, eu vou pra praia, jogo bola. E eu luto jiu-jitsu, tá? Tenho o time US Pederneiras aqui nos Estados Unidos e estou aqui para defendê-lo nesse novo evento chamado Contenders.
Well, in any language, Pederneiras comes in here tough. Townsend Saunders comes in as silver at the 1996 Olympics, second in the 1997 World Cup. Married to a world champion wrestler. It stays in the family. Let's profile Townsend Saunders.
I think on average I try to put in at least 20 hours, 20 to 30 hours a week into the sport. And that includes, you know, just mental training, a lot of the cross training, and a lot of the mat time, you know, the weightlifting and the running and all that stuff combined. I think it's a full-time commitment. It's hard to do something at the same time. In other words, it's hard to have like a job or something and try to expect to have good results when you're competing at that level. I work out at least, you know, twice a day, sometimes an hour and a half each practice, so it varies from day to day. Usually I try to do something every day. Well, certainly I think it's everybody's dream, you know, at some point in their life to be on an Olympic team or win an Olympic medal. It's even, you know, it's nice that I made 2 of them. It's just something everybody strives for. I love being a father. You know, I have a daughter that, you know, it's almost 3 years old, and she's just at the right age that, you know, I just can't believe, you know, all the things I'm experiencing with her. I love being around my kids, and I have another boy that was just born about a month and a half ago, and right now I think that he needs his mom a lot, and I'll wait till he gets about a year and a half, and I'll start interacting with him a lot more like I do with my daughter. My wife actually happens to be an elite athlete too, so we have a lot in common. She's a wrestler too. A lot of people think it's really interesting that you know, we're in the same sport and we're world-class athletes. I happen to be an Olympian, a silver medalist, and she's a 2-time world champion. I think if they had women's wrestling in the Olympics, she'd be a 2-time gold medalist. It's a good situation. Wrestling is just kind of a naturalist, you know, form of fighting. I think that you know, the future will show that wrestlers, I think, will continue to dominate sports and events like this, just because, you know, that's what wrestlers are. We're pretty much competing to be on top.
Townsend Saunders, Andre Pederneiras. Here's how they shape up. A little bit of a weight advantage. Pederneiras very close. They're 30 years of age. Let's get the official introductions now for this matchup. Standing by right here is Gary Delabate.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the red corner, weighing in tonight at 159 pounds, standing 5 feet 7 inches tall, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, he is the 1997 Brazilian Tournament Teams champion, representing the Luis Pederneiras Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy, Andre Pederneiras. In the blue corner, weighing in tonight at 158 1/2 pounds, standing 5 feet 5 inches tall, from Phoenix, Arizona, a 1996 Olympic silver medalist, and he placed second in the 1997 World Cup, Townsend Saunders.
Townsend Saunders and Andre Pederneiras. At their final instructions, a little sportsmanship, and off we go. Again, 5 3-minute rounds or less, as we saw in our last bout.
Now, Kenny Mundy told me that this guy is a 10 out of 10 tackler. He is the top shelf of tacklers. Is that true, Dave? Dan?
Well, he might be 10 out of 10. It's just the idea that I don't know if he opens up as much as he should. But, yeah, he has very good skills and techniques. But, you know, it's a different game. You know, this isn't wrestling. This is, you know, if you're going to, I think I would try to score more on the feet, yes. But, you know, there again, went for, you know, the thing that we would never see, and we're in the guard.
You wonder what aggression you'll see after you've seen a 56-second stoppage. If a guy might be a little bit more cautious. But here is Sanders and Pederneiras locked up.
Yeah, right now, see, that position is normally people are trying to turn towards their bellies in wrestling. That's just some place that we, we'd like to get people there, but we don't want to get wrapped up, and that's exactly what's happening right now. We're getting wrapped up again.
Knee bar.
Yep.
Knee bar. Knee bar. Knee bar.
Pederneiras going after that.
Townsend Saunders trying to get it.
Townsend Saunders came out great. I mean, he better learn his lesson there, I'll tell you that.
Townsend Saunders was the initiator. He was going for an ankle lock, Dan.
Well, he doesn't know what he's doing there. Why would he know what he's doing there?
They've been practicing this.
Yeah, for how long?
I don't know, Dan.
Saunders gets a reprieve from Pederneiras. Pederneiras puts him back in guard. Saunders now will try to apply pressure here, and you saw right away that Pederneiras went right for the finishing hold immediately, almost got it.
Yeah, and so did Townsend Saunders, so he has been educated, and the best thing to learn to do against these Brazilians is ankle locks. And I'm sure that his coach, whoever it is, has been telling him ankle locks, ankle locks, ankle locks.
Yeah, see, right now, Townsend's just kind of hanging out in there. He's just hanging out. He wants to get out of there. He'd like to get out of there, I can tell by looking at him. But, so actually, he's on top, but the other guy's being the more aggressive.
Well, you've got Pederneiras in the guard, controlling things pretty well with his legs back there. Has locked up Saunders as far as his ability to come forward, and Pederneiras, anticipating Saunders trying to move forward, holds him off with the arm, doesn't want him to get underneath.
Townsend Saunders is very savvy about not getting his arms in. I've never seen anyone hold their arm that far back.
Well, I couldn't believe he come out of that ankle lock, even though he went for it originally. He went for the ankle lock. I think the other guy had a lot better opportunity, Pederneiras, to get the ankle lock because he knows what he's doing.
Saunders, 1 point from being a gold medalist at one time, explosive, calculating student of the normal wrestling game, and this is not quite the normal wrestling or martial arts game, which is what makes it so interesting.
And Saunders actually had a great opportunity to win the Olympic gold last year. It was actually a situation came down to the last 10 seconds, and it looked like he was going to win. It was just almost a freak of bad luck that he didn't win the match. I just couldn't believe it. Otherwise, we'd see a gold medalist out there.
So, round one is in the books, and it had its share of explosive offensive opportunities.
I'd have to say that Townsend wrestled fought pretty smart there once he got down there, just because I think from Shamrock, I think he saw something if you roll around, so he just stayed in there tight. But for him to score points, he's going to have to be able to do a better job on the feet.
And John Pederneiras had an instant shot at victory. We'll take a look at Pederneiras' excellent opportunity for a win early in this match.
I want you to look at this real carefully. When he turns to go for this foot right here, she's moved again, you'll see that the counter here that Townsend is employing is also a heel hook.
Exactly.
You see that there?
Yep, I saw that. But I don't think we know how to put him on that well, wrestlers.
He certainly did put it on very well, but it's not the first heel hook that Andre Pederneiras has had put on him.
No, I think what happened was it kind of saved Saunders, because when he went for that, I felt like Pederneiras pulled out of the situation.
You're absolutely right.
That helped.
It was a defensive heel hook. Got him out of some trouble, gives him a chance to start all over here in round two. So it was effective in a defensive sense for Townsend Saunders.
Look at the intensity in Townsend's eyes. He kind of just stares at the legs.
Is
that a giveaway?
He's a stalker. Oh, you got to watch the guy's ankles and feet.
Well, he's just staring straight at his belly, right?
Well, you can
feet and below,
and you can afford to do that with
belly and below.
You can afford to do that with no striking.
And Andre is being really smart. He's negating the takedown, isn't he?
He's doing just what the Japanese heavyweight did right now. But he looked a little more aggressive when he gets
I'll
down
show
there.
You. Let me tell you something right now before it happens, is that Townsend's going for another ankle lock.
Yes, he is. Pederneiras got guard off the takedown, and Pederneiras coming inside of it. Now it's who makes the next move.
Well, so far I haven't seen any points. Have you?
No.
I haven't seen any outright points, but...
Oh, wrist lock. Wrist lock for Andre Pederneiras. He's putting on a really... Oh, pulled it right out. Big old muscular arm on Townsend Saunders.
And the bizarre thing is, Dan, even though points are allowed, we don't know if anybody's thinking about points. They might be just going for the submission. And they'll maybe think about points late in the match.
Townsend Saunders is going to go for that left leg again. He's backing up.
You are seeing calculating attempted finishing holds here in this matchup.
I think Townsend Saunders is using his elbows really well. He's putting them into Andre's thighs and causing Andre, you know, significant pain, as in there.
And for Pederneiras, John, the guard is not enough.
No, it's not, but his closed guard is terrific. Look at him. I mean, he's like lying on the beach out there.
You could have a book reading out there underneath.
The wrestler's definitely wasting a lot of time right there, unless you knew a submission.
Well, he wants it. He wants his left ankle. Townsend wants it badly.
And from inside the guard there, what can Saunders really do? Half of his body's been taken away.
He's doing a really interesting thing with his elbow. He's making his elbow push down to make the guard separate, and he just separated it.
Slip sliding away from the guard.
Notice the left knee of Townsend Saunders proceeding through. Another ankle he tried to get.
The Saunders not bothered really by the locks and the two guard positions. Now he turns over.
And he beats the guard temporarily.
No, he didn't get it. Didn't get it. I think I would have just backed out and made the referee make him get up, because that wouldn't be the rules, is to make him get up.
Well, maybe passing the guard if you're fast might be one of the easiest ways to score if you're in that standing position and you can seize the moment quickly. Final seconds of round 2, and the chess match between Saunders and Pederneiras.
Let me ask this
continues.
question. Do the jiu-jitsu guys usually always go to the back like that in a regular match?
Against a dominant guy like this?
No, I don't mean that, but in a regular match against another jiu-jitsu guy.
Yes.
They do.
Not all the time, but yes, the answer is yes.
And 2 rounds in, Saunders and Pederneiras. A good look at Townsend Saunders, the same poise he had when he walked in. And we heard that the Brazilians will do anything but submit.
Well, we don't really have anything to put on him to submit right now. Not from that position, anyway, the guard position.
Here's a look at Pederneiras with the guard being broken here by Pederneiras.
You'll notice this knee. It's trying to beat the guard.
By driving the knee in, John, he creates space and gets away.
And you notice that he tried to get this foot again as he backed out.
And had he moved the knee the other direction, may have had a chance of passing the guard there. He got out of the predicament rather than score there.
Right.
So we go to round number 3. Saunders and Pederneiras, and this has been more like the chess match we saw with Erickson and Kusaka earlier, which went to Erickson by a decision.
No.
Dan
Get out of
Gable
there.
does not like what he sees.
No, that's ridiculous.
Dan, you coaching or commenting over there?
No, I'm just saying, we talked about that in the rules meeting. The guy can't do that, you know, and Saunders ought to get the heck out of there.
Oh, I thought you meant Saunders wasn't being aggressive enough.
Now Saunders going for the neck.
Yeah. He's got him in a good position now, huh, Dan?
I don't know. I think these are submission people's they you know, unless we're very good submitters, you know, this seems to me more fit for a martial artist so far, what I've seen.
So far, we've had 1 victory by a wrestler, Tom Erickson, and 1 by a martial artist, Frank Shamrock, and we expect it to go back and forth.
Pretty good tactics, you know, just because of disallowing takedowns.
And he doesn't get the point. That's what you're saying, right?
Right. Pretty good tactics by, you know, the martial arts people.
Pederneiras able to hold off. Saunders looking to parlay here. Being on the top, normally for a wrestler, is points galore. But in this situation here, it's just the start of things. That's why these guys like these competitions, to go out and expand themselves more, try new things.
Townsend should be using his shoulder to drive his chin down. He doesn't seem to really, whoa, got a little elevator going here, Dan.
Yeah, come out of that. That was, could have got an ankle lock on.
And Saunders
What did he lose, the shoe?
Vaulted, and so we'll have a little bit of time here. Ordered by John Donahue for the shoe.
I'm glad he lost that shoe, because the guy must have been going for a lock.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see. Well, otherwise, how did the shoe come off?
I guess you know better than I. You've been wearing them longer.
The shoe came flying off as Saunders was ejected. from that position by Pederneiras.
Still, I didn't see that what happened there.
The explosiveness of Andre Pederneiras blew the shoe off.
The guard by Pederneiras. Sanders trying to come forward.
The triangle.
Triangle is almost a certain finishing hold in this competition. If applied properly, it is a main form of submission.
Now the triangle and the armbar can be used simultaneously here, so Townsend is in a dangerous place.
Pull on the arm bar, keep the triangle in place. Triangle, you look at the legs around the head, it is the most common form of a deadly submission hold. Now it's been broken, though.
Oh, please.
Very, very, very strong man, this Townsend Saunders.
Very flexible as well.
We don't see too many triangles broken. Good move there by Saunders to escape what looked like a near certain submission.
Andre's starting to move for an armbar position again, though, on that same arm.
One of the advantages of the wrestlers here is those partial holds there aren't worth anything unless you get the submission. So, that's what happened in Ericsson's victory. Because the guy had his knee locked and didn't get anything for it.
Pederneiras showing the bottom is a great place to be with the guard. We come to the end of the round. Saunders trying to work on the arm. Pederneiras defending.
Tough round to score. I don't envy the judges on this one.
Then you could make arguments in future competitions about near submissions and near falls. Right now, it doesn't count, so if you don't go all the way, you don't get anything for it, but a good attempt by Pederneiras to get that triangle. Doom is looming, but doesn't happen.
See, this left leg has to get tighter. It has to get deeper in this crevice here. And he finally starts hooking it up. But Townsend, very, very, very strong, and as Dan said, obviously flexible.
He broke the triangle and escaped the defeat.
You said the triangle is one that pretty much puts the ending to a lot of people.
It's a choke, and you have the ability to armbar afterwards.
It's a prime martial arts finishing hold, and Saunders was in it, but got out of it. As we now go into the fourth of 5 scheduled rounds. So Saunders showing a lot to get away from the best weapon of the jiu-jitsu artist, and Pederneiras diving a little prematurely perhaps, and Saunders goes for him.
Boy, I tell you, he's got a great guard, Andre, doesn't he?
Yeah, no matter how quick we try to get to the side with Saunders, he is getting stopped by this guard position, which prevents a scoring situation.
Pederneiras looked vulnerable. It looked like he jumped a little too quick, and then Saunders tried to take advantage, which was smart, and Pederneiras was able to put the guard on him.
Andre Pederneiras has a very, very unique high guard.
Yes.
And
he's pressing down with his hands too, John.
Pretty terrific.
What effect is his hand pressure having here?
Well, it's that elbow in Andre's gut. See the way he keeps pushing it out of there? And Townsend holds it really deep in, so he can't get the armbar on it, and it's really driving him crazy.
Well, it's being somewhat smart, I guess, from the wrestler's point of view. But, again, there's not a lot of action here, you wouldn't think, but actually Pederneiras is just waiting for an opening.
Now take a look at the face of Pederneiras here. The guy's in the bottom. Does he look concerned? He looks like he's looking for his next move. Something you don't normally see.
He doesn't look as fresh as he did at the beginning of the match, though.
Saunders trying to shove him here and obtain position by driving him into the cage and getting up on top himself. That's what he wants to do, is to use the end of the arena here to prop his body weight up more.
I don't think Pederneiras really cares.
It doesn't look as dangerous as a guard up here now, is it, John?
Let me explain what's going on here. There's one arm in and one arm out, which means that the triangle is a big possibility. But that elbow that's underneath there of Townsend Saunders is stopping Andre from shifting along with the enclosure.
Does Saunders have an offensive move here on top?
I don't see one, no. I don't see one. I see mostly only trying to rid the hold and get out of there, but obviously Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player would like this position.
And so when you have to be on the top and think defensively, that is difficult for a wrestler.
I wonder if John Donahue thinks that there's enough action here on Townsend's part.
It all depends. If you can convince the referee you're working towards something, that's the whole key.
I think he wants to get out of there.
You'll notice that the triangle is getting deeper.
He slipped out of there, didn't he?
Yes, he did. No, he actually abandoned it, but he's trying to get it again. See him pulling his leg with his own hand to try to move it over?
Trying to shove it over. Then he'd bring the other leg up on top. And the sound you hear is the end of round 4. And Saunders escapes triangles and near triangles. And shrugs his shoulders like, what am I going to do?
Saunders is getting frustrated.
He looks at his corner like, you get in the triangle and show me what to do.
Well, it is. You know, you feel this. Hey, I tell you, I think he should change a little tactics to make sure he gets the win.
Well, both guys, the argument could be for both guys, go for broke in round 5.
I think you're going to see that. I
think
think you're going to see that unless they're both happy with a draw.
And you see here, there's the guard, near triangle applied here by Pederneiras, looking in the bottom. Do I have everything right? Saunders trying to drive him into the cage to try to prop up his own body weight. And he gets up there. Go to round 5. John, what would you tell Pederneiras here as far as going for a victory in the final round? Final opportunity for a win.
Oh, he's doing everything he can. I think he's stalemated by the strength of Townsend Saunders. Townsend's best tactic is to go for an ankle again.
I would say right now he needs a takedown, but you know, so does Pederneiras realize that. Pederneiras realizes that he wants to get him into guard position and wait.
So he goes down.
I would get the heck out of there if I was Saunders.
Well, you see from Pederneiras
get out of there.
Pederneiras got down right away to avoid a takedown possibility. He put himself down so a point could not be scored. Cagey move by Pederneiras.
Well, he's hurting Andre now because Andre can't afford to get his legs out because he'll lose the guard position, and he can't afford to get his head up because he's not skilled enough to get his head up. Woo!
There he goes.
He
just get off him. You know, he just needs to. Referee has to make him get up.
Saunders wants Pederneiras to get up so he can attempt a takedown, which would score.
Oh yeah.
John
the rules
Donahue
say you got to get up.
Yeah. And let's see if Pederneiras goes down on his own accord again.
Andre's nose.
He's fading back.
All red from that.
Will he go down on his own, or will he try to guard off the takedown? Pederneiras.
He's going to go to his butt. As soon as he gets close, he's going to go to his butt. He's got to.
He's going to hook a leg and move in like he's been. Now, why doesn't this great tackler do it? Dan.
Well, because the guy's not pushing into him.
And Pederneiras, as expected, puts himself down to avoid being taken down.
Distance. That's what the difference is. You got to go too far. When you tackle, the man has to be a setup is coming in.
You're watching the pressure of the 5th round, where Pederneiras does not want to give up a point.
Pederneiras, I think, was happy for a draw. If it's a draw.
Now he gets Saunders in the guard. Triangle attempt. Triangle could finish it if applied properly.
He's trying for it.
Pederneiras pushing down. Saunders walked right into the trap. Pederneiras was not forced to stand up. Saunders went into his wheelhouse.
There's one arm in and one arm out. That's a problem for Townsend. You'll notice that the feet are getting closer and closer as he shifts. If Townsend lets him shift any more than that, triangle will get deeper and deeper.
The triangle, when it gets around the neck, is as deep as it's going to go. Usually can finish it up. And you see on the bottom, Pederneiras trying to win it from there. Saunders on the top with his head buried.
His leg's open now, and John Donahue took his toes out of the fence.
Yeah, see, I don't know. If I was the referee, I think if there's nothing's going to happen here, I think I'd put him up.
Oh, no, we're very close to a finishing hold.
Triangle is getting deeper, as John suspected.
It's getting deeper?
We're very close
getting close to the end. It's getting down near the neck.
When his left foot gets underneath his knee in that figure 4 lock, the triangle will be complete.
Why don't you slide it down?
The time is running down.
Well, because Townsend's stalking him.
Final seconds, and this one looks like it will go to the judges. The triangle did not go all the way. It was close. So Pederneiras and Saunders. Saunders a little frustrated. We'll see how it gets scored. And Dan, it must be interesting to see a wrestler on the top having to be defensive. That's the difference in this competition here.
Well, they think they won over there. I don't see how he won. But, you know, I don't see how he won on the rules, but, you know, maybe if the rules were changed where they got points from their guard position.
Here's the triangle attempt. Now you see the triangle's in the back, and he's trying to bring it closer, John.
Well, this foot has to get behind this knee. That's the most important part, and he can't do that unless he shifts, and Townsend won't let him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a judge's decision. The winner by 3 rounds to 2 rounds, Townsend Saunders.
So Townsend Saunders did enough with his aggression, and a stunned Andre Pederneiras looks on. Sanders gets the victory and escapes what would have been a devastating triangle to end it. So Townsend Saunders is ready to talk about it now. Let's get to that.
See, I don't think people understand the rules.
It seemed sort of a classic game of cat and mouse with a wrestler versus a submission fighter.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello to my family, wife and kids back in Phoenix, Arizona. Hello, Tassie. I'd like to thank Kevin Jackson for giving me the confidence to do this fighting game. My agent, partner Larry Sideropoulos, and Tim McClellan teaches the purest form of techniques and strategies to compete at this level. Mostly want to thank all my co-workers at the Home Depot across America, especially 10P, store 458, Brad Christie, Steve Ballack. I'm bringing home a win, baby. Back to the match. I think, you know, I tried my strategy. I tried to get him on my ankle lock. That's all I've been working on. I heard it pop, that first little flurry. He didn't submit. He's very, very tough. I mean, you can see he's got that ankle up in the air. He was just very slippery. He's got a good strategy.
And you seem to be very, very comfortable in the guard, and you couldn't pass it. You got close on a couple of front headlocks, it looked like there for a second.
I think I underestimated him a little bit, you know. He was very slippery, very flexible. I thought I was going to get him out real early with that ankle lock, and I almost did, but he didn't tap out. I mean, he's just an experienced fighter, you know, he kept coming.
What do you think of this format, grapplers versus submission artists?
I like it. I like to continue this with, you know, the wrestlers competing against the world. I don't like to see the wrestlers compete against each other. I'd rather see, you know, the wrestlers compete against all the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters, the kickboxers, everything. I think we compete at this level. We can compete at this level. We just got to learn the submission hold. You know, he almost choked me out right over here. I just stayed real strong. There's no way I was going to let him have it. And that's just from my discipline from wrestling.
Yeah, you appeared, of all the wrestlers so far this evening, you appeared the most comfortable in the guard. Is that due to your training with Tim McClellan back in Phoenix?
Absolutely. Tim and Kevin Jackson, you know, he taught me. I've been trying to work on that ankle lock. It comes right from the guard. I almost got it. You know, it just didn't quite work. So I'll go back to the drawing board and work on something else, you know. If that doesn't work, I have to have another strategy.
What's your future goals in wrestling? What's next for you?
Well, I plan on winning the World Championships this next year. I'm going to train really hard to wrestle in Sun Kids in another couple weeks. And I got a Cuban tour. Then the Nationals is a key, and then Good World Games is coming up. That's going to be an extra bonus for me. My real goal is the World Championships. I'd like to be the best in the world. At least my discipline is wrestling. If I become the best in the world in this, then maybe I'll be happy. But I'm focused on wrestling right now.
Great. You got a little ways to go to catch up to your wife, who's a world champion, but silver medalist Olympics, not bad.
She's a two-time world champion, so I got quite a ways to go.
All right, very, very impressive. Congratulations on the birth of your second child.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
Congratulations on a tough fight.
Thank you.
So Townsend Saunders coming up with a 3-2 victory in this competition. Now 2 victories for the wrestlers, 1 for the martial artist. That one, of course, very close going all the way down. Townsend Saunders telling you that he was very close to being choked out with the triangle hold there, and he was able to hold it off. He was not going to let it happen, and there is some of the intrigue we have seen in this competition. So we're ready for our next match. That was an intriguing look at Townsend Saunders and Pederneiras. Let's take a look at our next matchup coming up. We've got Van Arsdale coming in here, match number 4 on our card. Should be a very interesting battle as the competition goes forward between the martial artists and the grapplers. Let's go. Let's take a look at our 4th match. We're ready for the walk-ins now. Mike Van Arsdale, Renato Verissimo. Verissimo will be the first 1996 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. Renato Verissimo, 24 years old. Let's take a closer look at this Brazilian.
Does he speak? How tall? 6'1". 6'1"?
My name is Renato. I'm another student of US MMA Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm from Rio. Now I'm living in Las Vegas for a couple months, you know, and I hope to. I'm gonna fight with Mike, and I hope to do the only thing that I know how to do is fight, and to show some technique, to show something that to prove that Jiu-Jitsu is a good fight. I did a lot of tournaments in Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling, the same thing, some stuff, basically the same rules, you know. And I believe that I can prove something good for the people that is watching the show. I try to sweep, I try to go to his back, you know, something like that. And basic submissions. Jiu-Jitsu has a lot of stuff too. I like to watch TV, to listen some sounds, some raps. You know, I like so much raps. And now in Las Vegas, I went to Manhattan shows. You know, they're good dancing. It's good. I like this. And play soccer. We are professional. You know, we don't have this feeling of against. No, we are here to only prove the techniques.
Renato Verissimo will go up against Mike Van Arsdale. Van Arsdale, a 1997 World Cup champion, 3-time All-American, grappler at Iowa State, 6'2", 200 pounds, 32 years of age. Let's take a closer glance at Mike Van Arsdale.
I've been wrestling since 1979, just quite a while. And as far as grappling, this is something new for me. And I go into it with the same enthusiasm as I train for the Olympic Games. I really don't pay attention to cameras or the crowd when I'm competing. I'm pretty much focused, and I'm just focusing in on what I'm supposed to do. I look at this as the last opportunity I'll have to compete in my home state. So with that in mind, I look forward to contests. Grappling and wrestling are very similar. You add the submission holds in, and that does change things quite a bit. Of course, with wrestling, there's a scoring system that's not in effect here, but the actual techniques and moves that you use in wrestling to control your opponent will be very important in this competition. I'm a laid-back type of person. I don't go out that much. And I like to sleep. I have a girlfriend. I enjoy her company very much. I love to eat. Love to go out and try new foods. I just feel blessed to have the opportunity to compete. I want to fight the best. I want to go against the best guys out there, and that will bring out my best. I just can't imagine competing against someone with lesser quality at this point in time. You're going to be nervous. If you're not nervous, then maybe you should get a little nervous, because when your nerves are rolling and your adrenaline's flowing, that actually brings more of your best out.
Let's see how nervous Mike Van Arsdale is. The height the same. He's got 20 pounds of weight on Verissimo, and he's got 8 more years of experience. The youth is on the side of Verissimo. Let's get the official introductions now from Gary Delabate.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the red corner, weighing in tonight at 180 1/4 pounds, standing 6 feet 1 inch tall, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He was the 1996 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, representing Luis Pederneiras Jiu-Jitsu, Renato Verissimo. In the blue corner, weighing in tonight at 199 pounds, standing 6 feet 2 inches tall, from Waterloo, Iowa. He is a 1997 World Cup champion and won the 1988 NCAA National Championships, Mike Van Arsdale.
So Mike Van Arsdale and Verissimo ready to go. Verissimo very upset when this match started coming in. He believed that the Brazilian in the last Pederneiras hadn't gotten a fair shake in the last bout, and Johnny was concerned about what he would have to do to win.
And I totally agree. You know, it was a draw. No points were scored. It was clearly a draw. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I don't see any points scored in the match. The only thing, you know, in the rules meetings we talked about was a little bit, you couldn't be laying around on your rear and your back, and so, you know, that made him look bad a little bit. But, you know, and I think maybe the judges went on that. I don't think that they felt that they could give a tie, maybe a tie in a round, but maybe not a tie in in 5 rounds. So, you know, I'm a little concerned that there was a misunderstanding there in our rules meeting.
And I saw John Lewis. He was just livid.
Well, if you're the martial artist, the jiu-jitsu man coming in, as you take a look here, that you don't want to lose in any flimsy way, you'll feel that you'll have to get a submission in order to win.
Yeah.
Well, in this match here, guys, we've got guard already.
Well, this guy has an outstanding closed guard. He wins in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments from his outstanding closed guard. He's going for a choke. You see him grab his sleeve. He's going to stuff that under Van Arsdale's neck.
And he's using the sleeve for a little bit of leverage here, too.
He's starting to choke, and Mike's not ignorant.
Well, I think both matches, Ericsson's, you know, and the last one was just a little bit of a rule understanding. You know, it's just, you know, there wasn't a lot of points scored.
Or did they give a tie-breaking point for perceived aggression? We'll have to see how
that's
came
what I
out.
think.
Well, and I think it's wrong because the aggressor was the man on the bottom.
But that's where I don't think people understand. And you got 2 wrestling judges. We think aggression is the man on top. We think we don't look at his aggression on the bottom, and that's what the difference is right now. It's a difference in 2 different sports. Jiu-jitsu people understand that bottom position, and they know when to be aggressive, but wrestling people don't understand the bottom position.
Well, it seems to be that some mistakes have to be made, I guess, and it's unfortunate.
This is the first of its kind.
Absolutely true.
Going to be a little bit of a learning, getting the bugs out, as Verissimo on the bottom here, in the guard, trying to bring the legs up. Wanted a triangle, no chance from back there, as Van Arsdale keeping forward and getting himself out of that.
The wrestler certainly spends a lot of time in this position, and I don't think he's that comfortable with it.
No, he's not comfortable, but he's putting pressure on, a perceived pressure.
Well, he's staying out of a point-scoring situation and a submission right now. But
he's also keeping the gi in his hand to hold himself forward.
Round 1, Mike Van Arsdale and Renato Verissimo. Verissimo with the clothing and on the bottom here. And Van Arsdale trying to operate from the top. And as we've seen throughout, the martial artist or jiu-jitsu expert on the bottom, very comfortable being there and trying to force offensive situations.
You know, one thing that you know, we really felt was, you know, the wrestler was going to score some takedowns, and he's just not doing a very good job. I think in that first match, actually, no, it wasn't yet. No, I didn't see a lot of takedowns.
Not much in the takedown department. We've seen a lot of defense, guard, and negating tactics by both, and round 1 is over. Set, of course, scheduled for 5.
You know, this shows me that guard position might be more dominant than a takedown, as far as being able to get to that position.
Right, right. It's terrific when people understand it. I know Renato has a tremendous one.
Work your position.
Verissimo with the robe. Here's a look at him.
Well, you notice that Mike Van Arsdale's holding himself down here. And that's holding him to him so that Renato cannot shift to get what he wants.
Verissimo shifts the robe, they slap hands, and they'll start round 2.
I think it's interesting that, you know, this guy has a full set of, what do you call those? Warm-ups. What do you call his gi?
Yes.
I mean, he's the only one so far.
So far, yeah.
And, you know, it's just, what are the advantages there you were talking about?
Well, if he's going to be on the bottom against a bigger guy like he is, the advantage is that, you know, the guy's unaccustomed to it. Can't get handles that you're accustomed to.
Maybe get a little slip sliding away possibilities for trouble. Down.
And he can choke.
Verissimo looking for the guard, does not get it. There's Van Arsdale trying for some control of his own.
He's got to get to the outside there.
Trying to drive with his legs.
He hasn't passed yet. We're trying to go for an ankle lock.
We've seen very little passing of the guard tonight.
What's kind of funny is that the jiu-jitsu wrestler does a lot of what you guys call the guard position and sweep position down there, trying that. But we call that, the guy was trying to do some elevators. In wrestling, we call that elevators.
If he put his legs in and not around, we would call it an elevator too. It's just semantics.
Just all where you're from, guys. We've seen the changing of the guards tonight, not much passing of the guard.
I think you should watch his hands because he's really trying to get the choke, and he's locking it up now on Van Arsdale's neck. And you'll notice that if he gets that choke, Van Arsdale will black out or tap out. And you see that it's not perfect, but it's getting better.
See the elbow doing the work there.
Good job.
Tries to contain him with the guard.
And he's lost the choke.
This is definitely a closed type of wrestling.
Tight, right?
Yeah, I can't get over that.
Van Arsdale now not in any type of a choke situation.
You see the way he's feeding his gi lapel over the top of Van Arsdale's neck all the time?
Yes.
That's giving him the ability to hold Van Arsdale down also. See the way
he's trying to bring the legs up higher too.
Right, well Mike's stalking him. But you see the pivoting. The pivoting is when the arms get in trouble, when Mike will get in trouble.
Does Verissimo have the room back here to bring the legs up for the triangle?
Yeah, he's setting up for a really, really heavy position.
The fans like that. The fans like that, they want to fall. They want to see a fall there.
It is. Just went past it. Just went past the arm bar. Renato has an amazing closed guard.
Verissimo from the bottom, trying to work Van Arsdale here, trying to lure him into a trap.
I'm amazed that the wrestlers aren't getting caught more in these locks.
Poked him in the eye with his thumb.
Well, that was an accident.
Yeah.
But I'm amazing. The reason why I'm amazed at it is because they're there. And they're not used to being there, and they're there so long. I mean, they've been there in almost the whole entire matches. I mean, this position's there, the jiu-jitsu's position, but the wrestler is not getting beat here.
Van Arsdale trying to crank here. Trying for a chokehold from the top.
Yeah, which doesn't work. He can't move to the side. He doesn't have the leverage. His hips aren't down.
He's trying to get the legs moving now, but he's inside the guard.
I feel like we're wrestling a jiu-jitsu's match.
Well,
and yet they're not beating us as far as domination. They're not getting many locks. They had one ankle lock, I believe.
Yeah, I see it that way.
But that was more of a scramble, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That wasn't right off the guard or anything.
So round two is in the books here. Verissimo and Van Arsdale. Verissimo on the bottom, trying to work the legs.
See, this leg has to come over the front of his head. That's so important. This leg has to make it across this head. And Mike Van Arsdale's holding his head down very, very well. Makes it difficult. You see that rocking motion?
Yeah, what's that? You trying to roll him?
He's trying to move in position.
And here's what would have been a takedown, but Verissimo is quickly there.
He just doesn't, he's not smart enough to let go of this leg, so he never achieves the reversal of the guard.
Start the third round, scheduled for 5. Renato Verissimo, 1996 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, and Mike Van Arsdale, the 1997 World Cup champion, 3-time NCAA All-American, considered a high-risk, explosive, flamboyant type of a wrestler.
I think Renato's very tired.
I don't feel that way.
When you put your hands on your knees when you have a chance, it makes me think you're tired.
He's using good tactics, not pushing in.
15-minute matchup here, 5 threes.
How would you rate Mike as a tackler versus Townsend? Dan.
I think they're both explosive, but not when people are backing up. And that's what, that's the tactics that you use.
Renato tried to tackle him.
Well, but then he sat right underneath him.
Van Arsdale gets a crank going here, but look where his legs are.
See, I don't think I'd be pushing in like that if I want to get a point.
He wants to get around here with the legs, and he's not able to. You can get the legs up on top. You can do a lot from the position Van Arsdale was in.
I love the way Renato can push through all the time with his guard.
He can frustrate you a lot of ways.
Well, this hand here is so important that goes under Van Arsdale's arm. I don't think the wrestlers have figured that quite out
That's
yet.
an underhook, see? And we like that on the feet, but we're not used to it on down here.
Well, so you think he's doing the right thing, even though the position's different? The procedure.
The wrestler?
Yeah. No, the jiu-jitsu.
Right, I think so.
What has Van Arsdale done here? Has he helped his position at all? Looks like he's back where he was. He tried to get higher and was blocked.
He's done nothing.
He wants to.
Yeah, of course. See, he's trying to go under now. See that?
One theme that we've seen ringing through here thus far is the top means nothing.
Is he off the side? No, he's not off the side.
Van Arsdale cranking here. But still partially in the guard. Now he's out for a second. Can he get his legs around? He cannot.
And Renato's giving up about 18 pounds here.
Verissimo maintains the guard, and some people thought that even 179 was a generous description of his weight. He might have even been giving away a little more than the 20 pounds.
I think so. I think Van Arsdale had to cut some weight to make the weight. Definitely, they are slowing the wrestlers down. Jiu-jitsu players are slowing the wrestlers down, and they're in their positions. We're not in our positions.
But no submission after 3 rounds. Scheduled for 2 more.
For the rules of the game, we need takedowns, and we're not getting it.
Very few takedowns, very few passing of the guards, very few sweeps, very few throws, things that would be points. What we've got is guys who are defensively oriented and able to negate and look for one potential closing situation rather than try to pile up the points.
You see Renato pulling his gi off.
He's
breathe a little.
Yeah, well, he should. That's a lot of heat there.
Yeah, and he's outweighed by 18 or 20 pounds.
Or 25.
Yeah, you think that it's been a day later and that Mike is up another 5, huh?
Yeah, eating and
5.
I'm
you can
asking
eat your
you,
way
I'm
up.
not telling you. How much?
Oh, he's probably light now. He's sweating, but working out. But, you know, he probably had to cut 10 pounds to make the weight.
So he's looking at about 205 pounds right now. 210. And Renato's soaking wet 181.
We've seen how guys who are lighter have negated that. Earlier in the competition, we saw Kosaka, 220, giving away 66 pounds, and did not bother him. He lost a very close one, but was very tightly in there the whole match. So round 4, Verissimo and Mike Van Arsdale. Van Arsdale stalking. What else is new?
I love the initiation by Renato to smack hands to start each round. That shows real camaraderie.
Sportsmanship, the fact that they're both into it. Verissimo not usually on his feet this long, and now he's down. What he can do is look, and Van Arsdale gets up.
Points. There's some points.
That guy's a flurry man.
He's going under to get a knee, by the way, just in case.
Holy cow. Well, we did a good job of stopping that. Van Arsdale did a great job of stopping that. He did a
look at Van Arsdale's.
I'd have to give him a point on that takedown.
Situation now. He's in a good offensive situation here. Now he can apply a little bit of weight to a potential neck crank. Look what the leg is. Can he get his full leverage? Verissimo still has a little bit of a leg working here.
Well, it's a bad position for Renato. He's got his back to him, but he's beat that really bad position he was in before.
We've seen it other situations. Verissimo had a full guard going, but doesn't have that here. And Van Arsdale trying to sneak his leg around for a little bit more power.
That's kind of interesting because he used a wrestler's move to get out of that danger. When his back was to Van Arsdale, he used a little roll, a little Granby roll, we call it. And that's a wrestling hold for an escape.
Right, except that he was going for a knee afterwards. You know,
right,
so it put him in a position.
Exactly. He used it to keep, get him off his back. Plus the fact that.
Yeah, there we go. Really good position.
There's a dominant position. That's it. He's definitely scored a point in this one.
Oh, yes.
Van Arsdale has a good chance here. The neck is cranking. You see more of his body leverage is in here. He can put more weight on an attempted finishing hold.
Trying to
the
go
legs
over the
turn
leg.
around.
I don't know what he did there.
Well, he tried to go over the face with his leg, and actually Renato is just about ready to do a reversal here. of position. If he can pop out, gets the back again.
It looked like Van Arsdale was about to attempt a triangle before
there's that Granby.
Yeah, trying to get the knee, but Mike's way ahead of that.
No. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't roll there.
Mike Van Arsdale, Renato Verissimo.
Where's his right leg? I can't see his right leg.
He's got it in his arms.
Well, he's in pretty good shape there, but his ankle isn't caught.
Van Arsdale continues to work the head here. And more upper body leverage can be applied to his potential finishing situation, but it may be too late for this round. He's running out of time. Good round for Van Arsdale, good control for him, and Verissimo will be happy. He's got another round in which to try to do his damage.
Yeah.
So the fourth round comes to an end. Van Arsdale using good leverage there. Here is Van Arsdale and Verissimo, and Van Arsdale doing good work. Gets the top position and has a little bit more to drive with here, John.
Yeah, this is very important. This leg almost got put in danger, but Van Arsdale's arm negated that.
Van Arsdale's arm negating Verissimo. You see in John's diagrams what they needed to be doing. And in the slow motion, when you see the leg pull away from a spot where if it had been there, you would have seen some type of a finishing hold. We go to the last round now. Round 5, Verissimo, Van Arsdale, last chance dance for these guys.
He's getting ready. He's psyching up. I like that. He knows he's down.
See, he's holding his knees. I think that's a sign of fatigue.
And doing a little bit more running around here, John. You're right. We've seen Verissimo up on his feet more.
He's psyching himself up, though. I can tell.
Well, he went for a leg lock, didn't happen. Shoved down. And here we go in the final round. Van Arsdale again assumes the top.
Why isn't he going for a leg lock?
There's a guard.
One arm's in, one arm's out. The possibility of a triangle exists. And he's trying for it.
That's what he looks for. Verissimo from the bottom. And a good push-off by Van Arsdale.
Yeah.
Stocking him up. What's that call to you, Dan?
That's a stack. That's a stack. That's a fall in wrestling.
He said, take this triangle and shove it.
Well, he needed to get out of that. That was
You're
smart.
not going to get it.
He attacked the position, and that's good.
Van Arsdale recognized the danger and immediately got rid of it.
I think we're getting smarter sometimes as the night goes on here, and as far as a wrestler.
I give Renato a lot of credit. You know, he came into this bout short. Igor Zinoviev blew two herniated discs in his back last week, and
he was all upset before he wrestled too. His mental preparation had to be thrown out. But what's his problem here?
Is he submitting?
Oh, he didn't like. He thinks he thinks we let him go or something.
I'm not sure what happened.
I think that's what he thinks. We can't let him go. That's one language against another. Rules understanding.
Now he's waiting for Van Arsdale to stalk.
I think he's upset too. He's losing the fight.
Had a shot at the triangle taken away from him.
He's got to worry about himself.
Van Arsdale again. Getting the top. Verissimo trying to get him in the triangle.
Almost.
Hands
very
pushing
close.
down. But Van Arsdale has seen these situations here. What other type of finishing hold would be open?
Well, he can get a nice shoulder lock from there, and I thought he was going to try to turn it out, but I guess Mike is just too powerful to do that to.
Van Arsdale driving, even though he's inside the guard here. Pulling on Verissimo. And again, as we've seen with the wrestlers, they'll try the pressure on the neck, but not a whole lot of strength applied there. Van Arsdale trying it now with the one arm. Trying to lean and press, utilize all of his strength here.
He's staying nice and close, which negates a lot of the prowess of Renato.
He moves quickly. I like that's when he out of position. That's the key for him keeping all those locks.
Well, Verissimo back in the guard, and this one it looks like back in the hands of the judges. This will be the third of 4 matches here to go all the way.
Yeah, I don't think this one's really hard to judge, just because it seems clear cut, but not, you know, not a whole bunch of domination involved. You know, one or two good moves that were the scoring moves.
Yeah.
So you'd figure Van
Showed a lot of heart.
Figure Van Arsdale would get it, but we'll see what they say. Good action here, and Verissimo trying, despite being on the bottom, to get his triangle. And here is Van Arsdale, John, throwing away Verissimo's best chance.
Yeah, just so close. Right here, this foot has to go behind the knee, and he needs to pivot, and he doesn't have it. And I think Renato was frustrated by that.
Good job of clearing the
Very
knee.
explosive on that turn, huh?
Yeah.
Not only did Van Arsdale push you up the triangle, he went right into an offensive position from there, showing a lot of agility. And now a
I'm
very
not sure what
frustrated
happens here.
Verissimo.
Oh, I see. Renato is upset that he didn't engage.
3 rounds to 0. Mike Van Arsdale.
So Van Arsdale winning it rather comfortably in this situation here. Gets the nod. And good performance by him. Able to score.
Did you
get some clear cut?
Did you have 3 rounds though?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
So Mike Van Arsdale getting the win. The wrestlers with 3 wins in the first 4 matches, doing it with good technique. And Mike Van Arsdale's standing by now, ready to talk.
Mike, great fight. Really intense wrestling in the guard. How'd you feel out there?
Well, being that it's my first contest like this, I was a little bit more nervous than I would like to have been. So I kind of shut down a little bit. But I felt pretty good. If you don't mind, I just want to thank Human Labs. And if you guys look for good protein and creatine, you know where to go. Go ahead, Jim.
All right.
Keep going.
We're going to charge him later.
Okay.
You know, it was really, really intense. I mean, he seemed pretty hot, pretty wanted to go after you when he came out there.
Yeah, he was very game and very awkward to wrestle, being so tall and so thin. I basically had to wrestle his game. There's no striking, and really he was not even letting me take him down. He was going down to his back. It was a matter of getting out of his guard, which is not easy to do.
Yeah, was that frustrating when he was always pulling you into the guard?
Yes, it is very frustrating because as a wrestler, you're used to taking someone down, but you just got to know the game. I'm very open-minded. I think wrestling is the #1 form of self-defense in the world, and all other martial arts stem off of wrestling. The wrestlers just have to have an open mind, learn how to beat the guard, and then we need to learn how to submit. I just want to say, in my next fight, I want Bobby Douglas. Get off the porch, Bob. Get off the porch. That's right.
I'm not sure Bobby's making that comeback. But very, very impressive. But several times you got behind him. Looked like you were trying to stack him there.
Yeah.
I don't know how close you thought you had to submission.
He kept me out of my submission positions pretty well. And I also kept myself out of there when I saw situations where I could have broken out. I didn't do it. And, you know, that's just part of the learning experience. And next time I'll be better.
You looking forward to another fight like this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I just need a little time. I've just been doing this for about 6 weeks. I need a little bit more time to train. And once I learn it, I'm a natural at it. I'm gonna beat everybody.
Great. Again, congratulations. Okay, let's go back to Dave.
Thank you, Jim. And we're very happy that we get to hear from Mike Van Arsdale getting his victory and talking about how he got inside, was pulled inside the guard, still did his best work and came up with a victory. Good scoring by him. So we're getting ready for our next one. We've had 3 victories by wrestlers. We've had the submission by the martial arts, and we've had many attempted triangles and finishing hold. We'll have John Hawk and Dennis Hall coming up next in the bantamweight division. John Hawk, very qualified performer, made his mark throughout the martial arts world. 5'4", age 24. Let's take a closer profile at John Hawk.
He's a Brazilian national.
My name is João Hawk. I'm a jiu-jitsu fighter. I'm a grappler.
How tall are you?
How tall is he?
Quanto é o seu tamanho de altura?
1,64 m.
A meter 65.
Normally, I'm prepared to all kinds of situations. I'm married. I have two sons. John and Peter. What kind of music? I like Brazilian popular music. I'm glad to be here, and I hope to do a good performance. And I believe in the win.
So John Hawk, the Pan American gold medalist, will go against Dennis Hall. Dennis Hall, the Olympic silver medalist, coming in here, 5'3", 128. Let's get to know Dennis Hall a little better.
I'm originally from Neosho, Wisconsin, which is about 565 people, so real small town, but I like it. A lot of neighbors think I'm crazy. I do my pull-ups right on that tree over there. And what I do for fun, do a lot of bow hunting, some fishing. I listen mainly to rock, little Ozzy Osbourne, Def Leppard, Metallica, just something to get me going. The Olympics was pretty neat for me this last year with it being in the United States down in Atlanta. I ended up taking a silver medal, and that's what keeps me wrestling to this day. I want to go back in 2000 and hopefully capture the gold medal for the United States. I feel great, you know, especially after this last World Championships with the way things went. It just motivates me every day, and that's all I'm going to think about till 2000. Actually, I'm not afraid to fight with submission holds in a different style. I'm just looking forward to learning all the new techniques. The reason I started Greco-Roman wrestling was because my brother Dale, he was a lot better than at freestyle wrestling than myself, and the only way I could beat him was by throwing him. So I guess he was the one that got me into Greco-Roman wrestling, and I owe him a lot for that. My wife and I just had our first son last August 3rd, and it was an incredible year. A lot of ups and downs in my training. I didn't realize how much a kid would change my training schedule. I'm on his schedule. He's not on mine. After I made my first Olympic team, me and one of my buddies that's fighting, Dan Henderson, I said, hey, let's get a tattoo. I was waiting to get a gold medal put around the bottom, but I guess I'll have to wait until 2000.
Let's see how Dennis Hall and John Hawk shape up. 5'4" versus 5'3", Hawk with a little bit of a weight advantage, and the age is very similar. Let's get the official introductions. They're both standing by. So is Gary Delabate.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the red corner, weighing in tonight at 138 1/2 pounds, standing 5 feet 4 inches tall, from Brasilia, Brazil, he is the 1997 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Champion, representing Luis Pederneiras Jiu-Jitsu, John Hawk. In the blue corner, weighing in tonight at 138 1/2 pounds, standing 5 feet 3 inches tall, from Plover, Wisconsin. He is a 1996 Olympic silver medalist and the 1997 U.S. Nationals champion. Representing the Raw team, Dennis Hall.
Dennis Hall and John Hawk, and quite a matchup here, John.
Well, this is the one that I've been waiting for. I have no clue.
Well, when John Peretti is clueless, that is a scoop.
I know that Dennis Hall is got that mentality that is good, I think, for here. So, you know, I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything from that position, because that's, you know, he's not used to grabbing legs much. He's a Greco-Roman wrestler, so, you know, I don't know exactly. Again, the martial artist is forcing his position.
He looks so strong.
Dan, what would that mentality be? You talked about the right mentality for this.
It's toughness. It's real toughness, and I think it's something that maybe the martial arts people get a little bit.
Got to watch the armbar. Got to watch the armbar bad right now.
See, his leg was vulnerable too, and he let go of his ankle. He had his ankle. He missed that. But you said he didn't go for leg locks. So he definitely had his ankle stuck right by his head.
John Hawk in guard. We'll see what he does from there. And you see Hall driving with his legs to separate the guard, and he does.
Double grapevines.
It's okay, Dennis. It's good, good.
Yeah, but that's not out of the guard, is it?
It's from the guard. He's grapevining to keep the pressure off his, off his chest. That's a really strange thing Dennis Hall's doing. He's trying to drive up through, but his legs are stuck. I don't know what his idea is there.
Now he'll try to do it from the top, and John Hawk sees that. Tries to drape around him.
Told you he's a little bit mean.
He crushed him right up against the fence, didn't he?
The guy hurt his head. He actually hurt his head. He went for it, man. But,
Now John Hawk trying to use the elbows around the neck here, then try to bring the legs up, and Hall, realizing that, anticipated driving forward with the head so that he can't be caught.
It's a nice little move by John Hawk to get away from that fence, wasn't it, Dan?
He slid right around. Yeah, he slid right around. Yeah, we're really in unfamiliar ground here. The wrestlers are in unfamiliar ground with this, no scoring there. So
John Hawk's trying to get up.
Yeah, he looks like he's looking for a lock.
Yeah, he's trying to get up and he'll roll back off of it.
Locked, then he'll try to come back down here.
Try to go to mount. He does it. Big
He gets it to the
accomplishment.
mount. Big one.
Big points.
Scoring point there by John Hawk.
I can't believe we're in that same position. This is a position we don't want to be in ever, and we're kind of just hanging out there.
Let's see what John Hawk does from the control. We haven't seen the jiu-jitsu community here, John, in much of control situations.
This is the first position. This is the first time the wrestler's been in this position.
You got to be real careful now.
Wow,
with the arm bar.
come out. I can't believe the jiu-jitsu guy didn't know what to do with it.
He knew what to do. He couldn't. This kid's tough.
They are neutralized, and so Dennis Hall neutralizing the mount by John Hawk. And round one will come to a close.
Almost scored, but he didn't.
This will be an interesting one, scheduled for 5, of course.
John Hawk won this round.
Get that reversal, right?
He mounted him. He scored a deliberate point.
A reversal point, or what do you call that?
Well, we give him a point for going to getting the mount.
Well, I never heard that in the rules meeting.
Yeah, remember we described the mount position, and that's what he achieved.
So John Hawk doing what the other jiu-jitsu wrestlers had not been able to attain the mounts. Most of the jiu-jitsu fighters have been on their back, and here is John Hawk getting to the top here. And then Dennis Hall, Dan, fighting his way out of it very adroitly.
Right, well, a little bit of scramblability there, but, he really got stepped over with the hips. The guy really did a nice hip move on him to get his, I believe, a point for the round there.
Dennis Hall, in 1996 Olympic silver medalist, 1997 U.S. Nationals champion. Considered an ultimate competitor, aggressive, emotional. And John Hawk here got himself a good first round. And we start round 2.
See, that terrific reversal was from his own guard.
I don't remember the other point. I can only remember one situation where he was in dominance.
So a couple points on the board for John Hawk here. This is Dave Bontempo along with John Peretti and Dan Gable. Glad you're with us on the Contenders, which has been an interesting melting pot potpourri of the martial arts disciplines against the wrestlers. And we've had anxious moments, near finishing holds by both.
Gotta be careful.
Now,
Triangle starting.
Hall is driving. Hawk wants to lure him into a triangle position. But the arm of Hall has prevented that. He's got the arm draped around the leg. Hall can get around that. If Hawk can get around the arm, he might be able to stick that up. But you need strength, agility, quickness to achieve all these moves.
Dennis Hall has to be very careful from a key lock here. A key lock on that shoulder. Oh, he's out.
So Hawk back in the guard.
Triangle starts. If he does that again.
We've talked about the triangle, how devastating it can be. So difficult to achieve, but Hawk is trying it yet again.
Yes, he is. He goes from the triangle to the closed guard and back to the triangle again. He's really working.
And he's working for instant results. He's not caring about a point. He wants the end.
He's searching for submission.
Trying to force Dennis Hall into a mistake. You take a look at the martial arts people looking on. John Lewis, one of those.
Hall is really spending a lot of energy to try to get
Big
out.
headbutt. Big headbutt.
By who?
Dennis Hall, he
headbutted
tried
him really badly.
He tried to get some leverage inside.
He headbutted him really badly.
Who headbutted who?
Dennis Hall headbutted John Hawk
Can
really
we see
badly.
it? Can we see it?
We'll have an opportunity to look at that, I'm sure, and you can have disqualification for flagrant offenses. That will not be judged to be one.
I think
Watch the head of Hall. He's moving for position.
Oh.
Wow, that was more flagrant.
Pretty flagrant headbutt.
Than it looked initially. And then he looks up at the ref. Did you see that?
I thought he drove in with his head. I didn't know. I think he drove in with his head, but I didn't know if he looked where he was driving.
I don't know.
I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know if it was on purpose as much as he just drove in with his head.
Well, a not a well-executed technique by Hall, and we start from the standing position again. Dennis Hall, John Hawk. Good matchup, as all of them have been here. Hawk trying to attain guard, went down, so no takedown could be applied on him. You talked, Dan, before about the lack of takedowns, and that's been one good reason. The jiu-jitsu fighters put themselves down so that no takedown, which is a point, can be obtained.
That's right. And that's the tactics of backing up and throwing themselves down is definitely a tactic that's good for the martial arts, and that's where most of the matches have been wasting. You know, just right in here. It's just nobody's really got an advantage position, one side or the other.
When you consider how low-scoring the matches have been in general, the jiu-jitsu fighters do not want to give away what they would consider a cheap point via a takedown. And so this round comes to a close. Scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds.
Hey, Hall's getting frustrated, and he's losing his cool a bit. That's what his problem is. Yeah.
And that was, in my opinion,
well, probably cost him a point.
I didn't see the point.
Who gave him the point?
I didn't see it taken away.
Oh.
Try to find out.
Taken away, that'd give him a -1 then, huh?
The headbutting here, a point does not always have to be assessed for a penalty. A warning can be just as effectively administered. A point is not automatic. And so we saw that Hall was warned, not in this shot.
I think that was the second one.
Not in this shot.
I think it was after the headbutt or something.
Yeah, we need to see the first one.
Did they, who knows how they call that? Yeah, see, I thought it looked like he just put his head down and drove forward, but I don't think he realized the guy's head was that low.
Looked like it was going to be a warning.
He did, he warned him.
So second time probably would be a point. We start the next round, round 3. Dennis Hall, John Hawk on the Contenders, a brand new form of the martial arts and the wrestling communities getting together.
Hey, this is cute.
And settling their differences. And now we see a little bit of taunting.
I see Dennis Hall getting frustrated. Dan,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, he wants the guy to come after him, and that's not his style.
That's right.
No, the guy's style is right against the fence like that, and then he throws himself down.
And there he goes. He's not giving away a point.
Yeah.
Why give away a point? That's the way the jiu-jitsu fighters approach this competition. And then they try instantly to do something off of that. And what they're sacrificing is the ground, but they're happy to be on the ground anyway.
Dennis is frustrated.
Man, we almost...
Now, Dennis told me he was going to throw some people in the air in this one.
Yeah, but he thought the guy would lock up with him.
Well, he's picking him up now.
We may see a slam, which has been absent from this competition here. Where have the throws been?
You can't throw somebody when they're on their back.
Good point, Dan. Key lock, very dangerous. Potential is there.
Hawk trying to lure Hall into a position here for any type of a lock.
Dennis Hall's doing a really strange thing here, Dan. Maybe you can explain it to me. He's driving up under, but he's keeping his arms there. I don't know how he thinks he's going to elevate him in that position.
I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think he just feels comfortable
pushing.
Just staying out of, he would like to get out of there. He don't want to be there. I can tell just the way he's acting.
Dennis Hall doing a little freelancing here.
And that's the case of the majority of the kids, the wrestlers tonight. They just didn't probably feel too comfortable in this position.
Look at John Hawk, pretty calm right now.
Oh yeah, all the jiu-jitsu guys have been just expressionless in this position.
John Hawk could be conducting a seminar right now from this position. Now, when I have the guy here, I'm going to do this. He's waiting. He's looking at his corner. He's getting coached at the same time.
He's doing a good job of convincing that he's in control.
Yeah, Dennis Hall's actually pulling on his foot a bit, but
yeah, if he pulls that the wrong way, it's going to be a lot of pain for John Hawk.
John Hawk's pretty sexy. He see what he's saying now is he can't roll him because the fence is there, but he would try to sweep him, but he can't because the fence is there.
Goes for the leg.
Goes back to full guard because he knows he can't sweep him.
Yeah, Hall too well positioned to allow that sweep. And so the third round is going to go in the books, and a rather quiet one.
Yeah,
there's a headbutt again, not called.
This is how he mounted him. This is how he mounted him before.
This is where he pushes his head in there. He didn't headbutt that time, but that apparently I'd be careful if I was him, just because they're looking for it.
He's going to tell him again. Referee's going to tell him again. He's warning him again.
He made contact with the head, Dan.
And that's right.
I think it was a butt.
Well,
unintentional, but I think it was a butt nonetheless.
Well, here's Dave Bontempo. He's the master of seeing the headbutt.
Seen my share of headbutts. This one at least won't open up a cut. Let's take a look at it.
Nice technical advantage using the shorts.
So he called that a headbutt right there. You see that? Put his head down in there, and I don't know.
Well, I didn't see any.
From that angle, not conclusive, but John Donahue issuing a second warning for the head, and Dennis Hall will have to keep that in mind. Start the fourth round coming up.
So he's warned him, and next one he's going to take.
John Donahue issued a warning off of the second headbutt. Another one would result in a point. That's a fair job of officiating, letting the fighters know exactly where they stand and not being too point happy, especially in a low scoring contest. As a referee, you don't like to decide it. So the fourth round is underway. Dan, based off what you've seen on the competition, Hawk getting a couple points, what would you tell Hall here to try to reverse things?
Well, I think if I was, I think one disadvantage Hall has right now is that he's not a leg tackler.
I really like John Hawk right now. I think he's showing a lot of guts.
No, I think he's showing that I'm winning the match. That's what he's saying. You know, he's confident in his mind he's winning the match. But Hall wants him to come in, but you know that's not their game. That's not their game.
Hawk is trying to get.
Hall's going to have to stalk him, and he's going to have to going to have to get out of there though. Let's see, when the guy falls, he needed to back up.
He didn't.
No, he made contact. He needed to back up. Be able to move on his feet
You wonder
to the side.
Tried to roll him.
You wonder if Hall could, when that happens, go to the side quickly, look for some side control.
That's
off
if
of
he would
the
retreat
slide.
a little bit. If he would retreat. But instead, he's just, so used to attacking that it's just real difficult.
You see John Hawk lying on his back saying, no, you're not going to make this. You see him holding both wrists?
Very cool customer, John Hawk. You know, most people on the bottom, it can be a panic situation, but we've seen with the Brazilian fighters and the jiu-jitsu art, not that way at all. Triangle attempt, rejected, back in the guard for John Hawk. And John, I like how quickly he goes from an offensive maneuver, which didn't work, right into guard position again.
Yeah, I mean, John Hawk is just terrific. That's why I wanted to see this bout so badly, because this guy is so renowned for being, so good with the gi. He tried to do that.
He tried that hip heist.
Yeah.
John Hawk has basically instinctively in his head, he's 3 or 4 moves ahead of what's happening.
That's right. That's right. It's a calculation game. But I'll tell you, I'm learning some vocabulary over here from Dan Gable.
Well, a hip heist, huh?
Hip heist is very common in all wrestling. That's one of our maneuvers for counters.
He's going to do it again. He's trying to get that mount position again.
And John Hawk again looking over toward his people.
There's not much time.
Waiting for somebody to tell him to do it. John Hawk using the fence. Hall trying to drive forward. Not much offensive room for Dennis Hall, and not much time left in round 4. And the way this has been shaping up, John Hall has a couple of points, and a couple of points in this match may seem like an eternity to overcome.
I think John Hawk is winning this, don't you?
Yes. And having the couple-point lead for John Hawk this late is very big.
It's not over. Yeah, he's cocky. He don't need it, you know. I guess it's good for the crowd. Get the crowd into it.
Well, part of the big psychological warfare that goes on in the minds of some.
Yeah.
With some people, it's a matter of machismo and your manhood being tested by the wrestling, and so you'll always get the look that you're very confident. John Lewis coaching John Hawk, and John Lewis, a very fine athlete, wrestler in his own right. And there's Pedinaris over there. Final round. Dennis Hall, John Hawk. It would appear from all indications that John Hawk is in control of this match. We'll find out when it's over. The scoring for the throws, the sweeps, the takedowns, going behind the head, getting behind, the reversals. But there has been very little of that. What we have seen instead is an instinctive and fine defensive struggle.
Oh, that was a mistake again. Same mistake.
Well, Dennis Hall has not had that ability, Dan, to when Hawk goes immediately down to go for the side control. That would give him a big advantage, and that's something that we'll look for in future competitions. Hall on top, but not being effective there, and the guard by John Hawk, who, I'll tell you what, you can't ask for somebody more comfortable protecting what we would think is a lead, John. Very poised, he is very tough, he's not showing himself to be vulnerable here.
I think it's a lead, but I have no idea what those three over there are thinking.
Oh, they think it's a lead. If you said they scored 2 points in the first round, you said that?
They said that.
To you?
Yeah.
Well, then there hasn't been anything since that time. Has there? Have you seen anything?
No.
I've seen no points by either side.
No, I mean, Dennis Hall hasn't gotten out of the guard in the last 3 rounds.
And a good look at the would-be triangle, but because Hall has his head down far enough, he's been able to stay out of disaster, but a good position here for John Hawk.
Yeah, this is interesting for me, though, because the triangle is so close.
Yes.
He beat it.
You know, he was a little bit reluctant. John Hawk at the top to drive down just a little further, which is what he needed.
But he's still trying to attack. John Hawk is continually attacking with attempted submissions.
Oh, a slap there by Dennis Hall.
That was all right.
Yeah, Dan says it, no offense.
You got to get a little tough. This is
no head bringing, no foul.
You know, we didn't come here to get a little bit of excitement.
I was just announcing it, Dan, not taking a moral judgment on it.
You know, those are setups. These guys got setups. They roll to their back. We slap a little bit. We pop the head, but we don't. We don't want a headbutt, but we like to pop the head a little bit with a hand. But it's not really working, so we're back in the guard.
We've never left.
Well, he did break through. Remember, he was on his feet.
He tried for the
he was completely away
off the guard, but
not a reversal.
No.
For Dennis Hall, it's been a bout in which he's had very little opportunity for offense. He's tried to drive into offensive position, but John Hawk has not let him have it, and it would appear that John Hawk has this one safely tucked away.
You can't grab the neck, huh?
See, what was he doing? I couldn't see.
He just grabbed the neck and he pulled his hand away.
He's doing something. Anyway, the bell rang.
Bout is over. John Hawk convinced he won. Crowd not happy. Dennis Hall goes around, says he won. And thus far, we've seen 3 wrestlers prevail and 1 martial artist.
Dennis Hall just winked at me.
He thinks I think he thinks that he's going to win.
Well, every decision thus far has gone to a wrestler. And if you're the wrestler here, maybe you feel the same way.
But I don't think he's going to win this one. I don't think he's going to win this one based on a couple other situations that, that happened during the event.
The only reversals that occurred were from John Hawk. The only points scored were from
Well, I
John
saw
Hawk.
1 point.
Ladies
So
and gentlemen, we have
let's
a
hear it.
judge's decision. The winner by 2-1 rounds, John Hawk.
And so, as we suspected, John Hawk gets the win. Second win for the martial artists versus 3 for the wrestlers. And John Hawk doing it mostly in the first round, as it turned out, and then able to maintain the lead after that. We talked about his ability to keep his lead. And John Hawk is standing by now with Jim Scheer.
A lot of emotion.
John, come here. A very, very tactical fight. You looked like you almost had his arm locked out early in the first period.
Well, first place, good night. And sorry about my English. I would you like thanks using Pederneiras team and my family, my mother, my 2 sons, and my wife, Jacqueline. Thanks.
Congratulations. Great fight. Great time.
And all of my students. Thursday, I'm here.
Good fight. Congratulations. Dave, let's go back to you.
Thank you, Jim, and we've got some nice bonus coverage coming up. We said it was 3-2 for the wrestlers. Earlier, we had Carlos Newton and Chris Barnes in a barn burner right down to the finish. Carlos Newton, 1997 Canadian overall jiu-jitsu champion. Chris Barnes, 2-time NCAA wrestling champion. This one proved to be a beauty. This is Dave Bontempo along with Dan Gable and John Peretti. We go to round 4 of Carlos Newton and Chris Barnes. Carlos Newton has 2 rounds left to try and come from behind. Chris Barnes has certainly had a territorial advantage and strategic advantage. He's had the aggressiveness edge and has been tactically efficient thus far through 3 rounds. 2 to go.
Hey, does a wrestling hold.
Ankle lock.
10 by Barnes here.
Holy cow.
Newton goes for the ankle. Can he turn it around?
Oh, boy. Barnes got himself into trouble. He slipped out. Somehow he slipped out.
Maybe it's a sweat, Dan.
It's not totally out yet. No, it's not out. The knee's still caught. But underneath there. But this is definitely where we don't want to be. You like this, don't you, John?
Well,
better.
I'm having fun listening to you, actually. You see Barnes trying to go for an over scissors as a counter.
He got out. He come out of it. Can you believe it?
Yes, I can.
Well,
we
talked about the sweat, Dan, coming off of the tight locks, a point you mentioned earlier, and Barnes was able to get away. Newton had him in trouble for a while, but could not finish.
It took a lot out of Barnes to get out of that. I'm going to tell you right now. It's he's happy it's probably the 4th round, and he's just that's now he's hanging on. He's hanging on to kind of a situation
His
where
right arm is really, I can't believe he hasn't extended himself like that at all.
There, his scramble ability helped him there. Definitely helped him there, but he's not really putting the move on. He's kind of catching his breath here.
Barnes, after a tough beginning of the round, has about a minute and a half to get through. Now he gets some protection and gets close to Newton. You see him utilizing the clock a little bit as he slowly tries to climb into offensive position. And Newton has turned his back on him. And all of a sudden, Barnes is in charge.
Well, he's keeping his hips down this time, down below his hips. Before, he did not keep his hips down. When his hips got up, and he was able to go through with that ankle and knee. So definitely stay below the hips on the when you're attacking.
If you'll notice, what Barnes is trying to do is to push that leg through. But Carlos is giving him that little face lock and pushing him up, so to keeping him back.
John, should Newton have been more aggressive in this round, considering what happened for him earlier in the round?
He just needed to have a little bit tighter leg on that, and everything would have been fine.
He had his opportunity there. That was. I mean, he had the ankle twisted. He had the knee twisted. It just against a guy that's flexible and sweaty.
Well, in 5 3-minute rounds, you may get a couple of opportunities, no more, to obtain a submission. And Newton, after being on the defensive end, certainly had his golden opportunity early in round 4. Got one more stanza coming up in what has been an entertaining matchup.
The referee is telling him to get it together. Let's make some movement here.
And Newton won't mind, actually Barnes wouldn't mind a little bit of time off after what Newton did. as he collected himself, and
that's it.
The end of the round has come.
That gave him a point. I was going to call it even. I was going to call it even before that.
I'd give it to Chris.
Just on that last, he hit a nice duck. That was a takedown.
Is that what you call that, a duck?
Yeah, duck under. Yeah. Duck. Guy's leaning.
How much credence do you give what Newton tried to do and what offensive strategy he had early in the round? Is it a point-scoring situation or just good aggression?
It's good aggression. I don't think he...
Let's look at it.
John, here was Newton's big chance in the bout.
Well, he goes under, and he gets the ankle. But watch the way he turns now, and he throws his left leg over to get the ankle lock. And he just can't get the heel hook on it with his left arm. And now Barnes moves up. You'll notice all the action is here. Barnes pushes away properly and gets his other knee working to push this way.
Barnes had a good idea of how to get away from trouble in that early section of round 4 as we start the 5th and final stanza. And Dan, your thoughts on the end of round 4 there?
Well, even actually before that, you know, when he got the ankle and the knee, you know, in high school wrestling and in collegiate wrestling, that's what's called a potentially dangerous situation. It's not illegal, but the referee would definitely look at it and probably have broke it from a potentially dangerous injury situation. So, you know, that's the one thing that's happening here, that, you know, you don't get it broke unless you break your leg.
Carlos Newton just tried to jump into a triangle and got stuffed.
Now, we would guess that the clock is working against Carlos Newton.
He went for it again.
Yeah, he's going. He's definitely he's got his back against the wall here, and he's got to go for a submission. I don't see how he can win this particular event without getting a submission.
Barnes on the top has been very good at guarding the lead and has been very well balanced and has shown good leverage. Top of his game here has not been flustered at all. Dan, I think the poise of Barnes has been maybe an underrated aspect, but a very good one for him throughout this competition here.
Well, I think the wrestlers are pretty confident, but they can't at all just all of a sudden relax to the point where they overestimate what they're doing out there. I think that was a great example. All of a sudden, off a flurry, he was in trouble. And I think maybe he got a little lackadaisical off that, you know. Let the other guy take the move to him.
Barnes closing in on a victory, we would guess, halfway through round number 5. Newton needing some thunder here in the 5th round. Had a good chance early in the 4th round. Just did not happen for him. Now he's looking to try and do some other tactics here late.
Newton is desperate to get underneath this guy now. Desperate.
Time is working against him. It must be so frustrating, John, the clock against you like this, and you've got to make so much happen.
Yeah, and I don't see it. I think that his coaching has made him great.
Well, I can tell you right now that he's got a lock on him. Barnes did. But see, Newton's going to an overhook, and that's definitely not a good lead into an offensive move. And, you know, I don't think that they understand that. See, that's where wrestlers underhooks, that type of control, it's a lot better for offensive attacks, and he keeps going to the overhook. The wrestler keeps going to the inside, and that's really Newton's disadvantage to Barnes' advantage.
And Newton looks a little exasperated here.
And for the uneducated, you're talking about their arms.
Right.
Now Barnes gets a move. Newton slips away. Now Newton is in a survival mode again. Gets the guard.
Armbar.
Looking for the armbar at the end of the match.
He's got it.
Newton finds the thunder.
That's it. It's
He
over.
does.
Submission.
You got it.
What a turnaround by Carlos Newton.
That's my boy. That's my boy.
It doesn't take long, and Newton, with a come-from-behind dramatic victory. What you look for is the hyperextension of the elbow with the armbar. He is able to do it. He gets it in there in no time, and boy, this match, guys, illustrates exactly what the matchup is. It was the wrestling versus the instant thunder, and Newton didn't quit, to his credit. What a match.
How much time was left on that?
Well, I didn't notice.
Less than a minute, maybe even less than 13 seconds to go. And the finishing combination maybe took 8 seconds.
Wow.
Carlos Newton with the most dramatic victory of the evening. And now we are ready for our main event. Final match on the card, Matt Hume and Kenny Monday. There you get a look at Matt Hume, founder of AMC Pancration. Let's get to know Matt Hume, 31-year-old, a little better.
good stuff fresh, they need to be slapped. Take some home today. We pack, we ship, and we deliver. Who's next here?
I don't consider this a new thing for me. I've been doing submission wrestling for a long time. I've done pancreas, I've done pancration. The training that you do in pancration really adapts well to any situation because you have to learn how to wrestle. You have to learn how to stand up fight. The area of pancration where we grapple, where we use submission, that's what's going to come into play. So this is really, it's nothing new to me. The competition is something new. But when I was growing up, Kenny Monday was one of my heroes. When I was in college, he was starting to dominate the world in freestyle wrestling. That era of wrestlers, John Smith, Kenny Monday, Dave Schultz, those were the greats in my time. Now Kenny Monday has brought himself into this scene. So it's a real honor to be on the mat with him. This is a fairly new thing for the United States. This is the first submission wrestling event in the United States since old-time pro wrestling before it turned into the circus that it is today. I think the world will see a new thing when they see this. They'll see the excitement come back into wrestling. Amateur wrestlers have really never had a venue like professional boxers have to go from the amateurs to the pros. Now all these amateur wrestlers who are great athletes, I think the greatest athletes in the world, are going to have a venue that they can be true pros on. You can't take away his accomplishments ever. So I'll be challenged to get those submissions in 3 minutes, and his challenge will be to try to just hang in there and beat me on points, probably because I don't think he can submit. I'm in a game that I think that I'll be able to play better than him.
Who's ready here?
And a closer look at Matt Hume, and of course he's going up against a star here, Kenny Manic Monday, Olympic gold medalist, blazing speed. Gets a big hand from the crowd here, and let's take a closer look at the nicer side of Kenny Monday.
I've been wrestling for 30 years. I started when I was 6 years old at the YMCA. I made a name for myself, growing up just in the neighborhood and stuff, being able to ward off the bullies. I was about 10 years old. I was inspired to go and win a gold medal, and every day I would talk about being in the Olympics. I was laughed at by my classmates. Winning an Olympic gold medal was just an incredible experience. It's a feeling to represent your country. When you win, it's everything that you trained and everything you've done to get to that level kind of come before your eyes. When I was standing on that podium, and all the people that wished me luck and wished me well, I had thoughts about that. And so it's the journey that you really get the most enjoyment out of. And so wrestling has been really, really good to me. I've been able to go all over the world. I've been to 12 different countries, making me appreciate living in America. The condition that you have to be a champion in wrestling is far superior to the other sports. One of the most unfortunate things about wrestling, there is no professional level as far as making a living like the other professional sports, basketball, boxing. And so the Contenders is bringing an element to the sport, gives us an opportunity and a forum to show our skills. What really helps me to be successful is the support that I get from my family. My wife, Sabrina. My little girl, Sydney, she's very excited about my school and watching all the kids wrestle and that type of thing. The competition runs high in my household. My wife, she's a high achiever, and I'm a high achiever. She's a #1 director in the state of Oklahoma, Mary Kay Cosmetics. Just won a 4th pink Cadillac. Yeah, the pink Cadillac. Oh, yeah, absolutely. My opponent, Matt Hume, he's a tough competitor, and so I'm looking forward to a very spirited fight. Showing him what wrestling is really all about.
And the All-American Kenny Monday and Matt Hume, they match up the same as height. Kenny Monday with 9 pounds more in the age. They're both in their 30s. That's the matchup between Matt Hume and Kenny Monday to culminate this exciting card. Let's hear the introductions now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our final bout of the evening, the main event. In the red corner, weighing in tonight at 178 1/4 pounds, standing 5 feet 10 inches tall, from Kirkland, Washington, He is currently ranked #1 in the lightweight division by Fighting Sports Newsletter, representing the American Martial Arts Center in Washington State, Matt Hume. In the blue corner, weighing in tonight at 179 pounds, standing 5 feet 10 inches tall, from Tulsa, Oklahoma, he is a 3-time Olympian, winner of a gold and silver medal, Kenny Monday.
Monday and Hume, you can't match them any tighter. Hume #1 by Fighting Sports Newsletter, and look who's #2. Kenny Monday ranked right with him there in that competition, and here they are, ready to square off.
Kenny's got his fists up.
Hey, you know, whatever he needs, it's okay, as long as he doesn't use them.
Kenny is one of the most versatile wrestlers you'll ever see. He can strike when those type of competitions are intact. He can wrestle when that's the name of the game. He'll show speed when that's the name of the game.
I can't believe Hume's hand fighting him a little bit. It's
Yeah.
kind of surprising me.
Well, I'll tell you something. Matt's a little smaller than him.
Oh, there. Well, he didn't hand fight him there, but
he's
hey, we
trying
felt.
hard.
Kenny went for the
No.
takedown. No, goes for the leg.
Watch it. This is
Why
bad
Monday
for
did
Kenny.
that? I don't know why
This
Monday
is
did that.
Bad for Kenny, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you it was bad for Kenny. I don't know why he did that.
He tried to be sexy there, and you're playing with the wrong guy.
Well,
That's a toe hold right there. Tapped out. He's got him.
Wow, explosive finish from Matt Hume. Kenny Monday grabbed the leg, and it was the
Never tried
wrong
that.
place to grab. He did something different than the other fighters. He was more offensive-minded, left himself open, and Matt Hume
beat him quick, beat him neat, beat him on an ankle.
He tried to wrestle. He tried to do a martial arts move. He's a wrestler.
Right, but Kenny Monday has had some previous success in striking competitions, and you know he had that in the back of his mind coming in. He was a dynamic striker. But here with the striking out of it, Kenny Monday.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner by submission, 45 seconds of the first round, Matt Hume.
So Matt Hume surprising Kenny Monday. And it can happen that quick in this competition. You make one mistake, and that's it. John?
Well, I want to see it again. But Kenny trying to get a a real interesting move on him, but
Looked like an ankle lock, but he went too high.
Well, this is Matt Hume's world, and you look at this right here, that pulling across of it after he figure fours it. I mean, that's the outside of his ankle in a lot of pain. You watch that it works. Under. Now the turning of it right there, twisting it this way. And the big hands going whack, whack, whack for the tap.
We talked at the top of the show and in the preview show, the martial artists say, that's okay, we'll take an ankle. And Matt Hume takes an ankle and takes a victory with it. Quick victory by Matt Hume. Closer look, John.
Yeah, I mean, interesting move he's been practicing there. And look at Matt, right away claims it. Kenny not going the right direction to get out of it. He should have went this way to get out of it, to go through the middle of his legs.
And Dan, it looked like Kenny went for an ankle but started too high and never did get the target he wanted.
Just trying to go absolutely the wrong way to get away.
Absolutely not the thing to do in this particular event.
Now watch this, because he goes under and figure fours. And see the hand creeping through right there? Right there. That's where the hand gets figure four, turning it viciously, and Kenny Monday submitting.
I can understand that in the beginning of the matches, but not at the late matches.
After you've watched everybody else. Well, let's get some insight on it now. Matt Hume is standing by with Jim Scheer. Jim?
Matt, congratulations. A tremendous move.
Thank you.
You won a very, very exciting fight over a very talented wrestler. What does that mean to you?
Well, first let me say, praise to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who gives me strength to do everything. And the AMC crew back home, the fighting team, thanks a lot. And my beautiful wife, Elizabeth, at home. As to your question, Kenny Monday, what it means to me is, I really can't express it. He's been a hero of mine since I was young. You know, he was in college when I was in high school, dominating the world in wrestling. And then he was in the Olympics winning a gold medal. And You know, tonight he just played right into my game. This is my style of wrestling, and he played right to it, which I give him total credit for because he didn't try to play it safe. He's like a true champion. He went after me.
Yeah, I was surprised that Kenny went for the angle lock on you that early, and it sort of gave you an opening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he jumped right into it, and I took it. You know, my knowledge of the submissions is probably a lot more at this point than his is, so I've been doing it for a long time. And, you know, I didn't know what to expect from him, to be honest. So I'm just glad that I was able to get the victory tonight.
What do you think of the format? Obviously, points awarded would probably favor the wrestler, but submissions favored the martial artist.
I think the format's good. I think that we're on the right track to making a great, great sport. Of course, nothing's perfect when it begins, but we're on the cutting edge. I think that reviewing all the fights, of course, that was the last fight, so I didn't get to see all the fights. Reviewing all the fights, I'm sure there will be a few differences next time, and we'll get it to where it's the perfect sport, but I think the people are going to like it.
Great. Well, it was very exciting to watch, and again, congratulations on a very tremendous one.
Thank you.
Thanks. Dave, let's go back to you.
Okay, Jim, an explosive victory for Matt Hume, and John, you know, basically each fight here a different personality of its own, and this one's certainly the case.
Right, and I think that the wrestlers are having a hard time understanding why the Brazilians choose to fight in such a passive-aggressive manner, and you know, we're catching a lot of flack for it.
Okay, Kenny Monday is by now to share his short thoughts with Shannon. Let's go to that interview now.
Kenny Monday, what happened out there tonight?
Well, Shannon, I just made a mistake. I tried a little move that I have been working on. I got my foot caught in the mat, and then he got to it. And then it was a situation where he got to the foot, and I wasn't going to risk getting injured, so he got to it and got the position. And it doesn't take long once you get there.
Did you anticipate him coming on with a leg lock so soon in the match?
No, not at all. It was just a situation where I kind of gave it. I didn't say gave it to him, but I kind of gave him the situation when I stepped over, and he caught my foot.
And what move were you working for?
I was looking for an ankle lock on when I threw it over, and he just got to my foot, and then it was kind of tough to roll out. When he got the shoe, to kind of control it too. So that may be something we can look at. Maybe not wearing shoes in the competition.
Yeah.
So.
And what was your strategy coming out into this fight tonight?
Basically, just kind of wanted to try to control him, try to take him down, and then try to pass his guard in that situation, and maybe look for some throws. So didn't quite get to that position, but I'll be back.
You'll be back, right?
To fight.
You're coming back to fight because wrestlers
fight.
will prevail.
All right, and so the argument continues, the wrestlers versus the martial artists, and I think this was a very exciting format in which we saw a mixture of what both sides do well. I'm Dave Bontempo along with John Peretti and Dan Gable. Dan, from a wrestling perspective, your thoughts on what we saw tonight?
Hey, I've been worried about this. You know, I got too much coach in me yet. You know, even though I'm not the coach at Iowa right now, I still am really you know, support these people, and I just can't imagine some of the things that took place during the event as we watched. It's a learning experience, and as the matches happened, you should have learned something. And I don't know if we were able to coach our athletes during that particular time. For an example, in the Kenny Monday situation, the last thing he should have done is what he did. The martial artists are great at what they do, and I even think to the point where they put us in their positions. We didn't get to score our takedowns. So, you know, I'm really disappointed that, you know, we weren't more prepared to wrestle against a martial artist guy. And then when Kenny Monday tried a submission hold, which we hadn't come close to getting a submission hold all night, and then he was going to try one. So, you know, to get the sure victory first, and that's, you need to wrestle if you're a wrestler.
Kenny Monday did go for that ankle lock. Now, John, you made these matches tonight, and excellent cross-section because we saw a little bit of what each side does well, and we saw that the top fighters and top wrestlers also able to negate some of the good things the other guy does, and so it came out that way.
Yeah, the wrestlers were terrific. I mean, they were pounding forward. You know, they were explosive. They had the ability to do things that I didn't think they could do. They held people off. Andre Pedernera said Townsend Saunders the strongest thing he's ever wrestled in his life. Of course, Dan and I disagreed with some of the calls on that particular fight. I think the Brazilians have a way of jumping under that maybe the audience doesn't like. But the other submission guys, Shamrock, Hume, they just come out there. They don't know what guard is. And then you saw, you know, Carlos Newton doing great things also. Townsend Saunders is an amazing athlete.
I think the most interesting match to me was where the Newton match, where he was the one that was getting dominated the most by a wrestler. And it's because he was doing wrestling. He was pushing in. And so he tried our style. And that, I figured they would all do that based on what they saw. But no, maybe when he, you know, it's hard to say, but he assimilated us. It didn't work. We tried to assimilate them. It didn't work.
You know, some comments as we were on our way over here, Dan, was people saying, you know what, it's whoever stays within their style the best will prevail.
They said whoever's got a better style. And, you know, I think that guard position is one that is very tough in martial arts. But at the same time, you know, if wrestlers are going to compete against martial arts people, this is an area that their takedowns are going to have to improve upon so they don't waste all their time in there. And we did a good job of keeping getting locks from there, but we certainly didn't do a good job of scoring points.
And, you know, it will leave both sides a little bit frustrated, as it should. Initial competition of the Contenders, something that both sides can continue to work on and look to improve and see how it is. We're so glad you joined us tonight on the Contenders. I'm Dave Bontempo for John Peretti, for Dan Gable, for our fine crew. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned.